But I'm actually going to close this.
But I get to stare at myself.
Yeah, there you
This is
go.
exciting.
What? You're in the principal's office.
Yeah. I would have sent those chairs down there.
Okay, you can sit over there. Okay, so to direct. All right, so it is 6:33. We have a forum because we have a full complement of people. So let's do a quick roll call. So Jenna Odell,
Linda Brennan,
Justine Johnson, Elsa Block, Lynn Carlson, Shanoa Cahoon.
Josh Chase.
Rory Carmody.
And we have two visitors tonight. Would you mind just saying your names for the number? Thank you.
George Christie.
Thank you. All right. So we have a new member. So if you could introduce yourself.
I'm Shanoa Cahoon. I was just appointed at the last town council meeting. I saw something on Facebook about interest in working for the Coventry Land Trust. I'm an avid hiker. I've lived in Coventry my whole life and I'm very passionate about the outdoors, hiking, teaching. I teach at Johnson High School, currently science and zoology, oceanography. I saw it and got excited.
Good.
So I applied. I wasn't too sure exactly how much involvement Coventry Land Trust has, but starting to see by looking at this. I'm very involved. I run a women's hiking group, so we hike all over New England, especially here. We do a lot of family hikes. So constantly teaching, especially on our Coventry properties.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
The other day.
Oh, great. That's really great to hear.
welcome.
Yeah,
So tonight, you're welcome to participate as you like, or you can just sit and kind of absorb and watch a lot of us learn this just by sitting here and absorbing like it's fun. So, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I know it may seem like drinking from a fire hose, but it is like drinking from fire hose, but we do a lot and we're really excited to have you on board. Thank you for your interest and service to the town. Yeah. All right, so let's do some evacuation instructions, real please.
Out, the two doors behind me, take a left and out the doors to the outside.
So I am interested in moving up a new business item 7.1, ahead of everything else, which is a discussion of Cotter property, because we have Miss Cotter right here. And so just in the interest of her time, so she's not stuck here until 9 o'clock at night, I've like to hear if everyone's okay with that. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, so I don't know if we wanted to pull up the property. While he's doing that, would you mind telling us about the property, like its history? And
387 Campus.
I mean, I've been there probably 8 or 9 years, but I have 37 acres. And I have a lot of wildlife on my property, so I'd rather go to, like the land trust rather than go to being developed. So that's why I'm here,
Okay.
to see if you have any interest in it.
Okay. Are you interested in like an outright sale of the property or like a conservation easement?
I think like a sale probably at the back, this would help. My husband died a couple of years ago, so it would help me with like taxes and,
Sure.
you know.
Okay. You just pull it up so we can take a look.
Just to let you know, I don't know whether you're aware of the differences, but if we could purchase development rights from you, and then you could stay living on the property.
Okay.
If you sold it to us outright, you would be looking for another place to live.
Right, exactly.
Unless
Okay.
we proportion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, unless
Yeah.
you sold just a portion.
A portion of
right,
it.
Back half, like,
Yeah.
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 So I pulled it up on the GIS. You can see the property here for your frame of reference. Stella Hall is here. Bowden is here.
The Greenway cuts through Camp Westwood at some point too.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's right
we're here.
on the, yeah,
Yep.
Right,
next
that-
door.
That's why I was thinking it'd be a nice linkage.
Mm-hmm.
Would benefit Camp Westwood.
Yep,
So where is Camp Westwood itself?
Camp Westwood is here,
Okay.
I believe, right? That's
the what, yeah.
the why, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
What's the
This is Camp
property
Westwood.
next to it, the large property?
that one,
Mm-hmm.
that is,
Okay, so it's a private,
Yep.
privately owned.
it's, privately owned, but it looks undeveloped.
Right, it's not, you don't see a house, any buildings, outbuildings.
Who owns 135?
I think that's Standish, I think.
Yes.
But it's like landlocked.
Yep.
Yeah. We were gonna buy it, but my husband was like, why buy it? She really can't do anything with
Right.
it.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
So by back half, you mean like the southern portion? Is what you're interested in selling?
Yeah, just like the top, like kind of an L, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I believe,
Across from east to west.
And then up.
And then up and then across.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
just all the back of the woods, I don't need all that,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So wait, how does that benefit the camp?
be something, if I am understanding it correctly, you'd be looking to either sell or, however it, works out, something like this.
Right. Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
That same question.
How does that benefit the camp? Because there's quite a lot of properties between the two.
I don't think it,
The people
that
on
way.
Camp Westwood would benefit them for having a local kind of
The,
spot
Yeah,
they
it's-
could get to.
the camp would be here. It would benefit the land trust.
Yeah, all right. I thought it was closer.
There's like a right of way to in Ravens Woods.
Yes,
You
there
wanna-
is,
Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
So you could enter.
yeah, there is also a right of way here.
It gets to a road, just a dead end
Yeah,
residential.
this
road.
is Raven.
Vaughn.
Yeah, that's out, isn't
Wood.
that out on 102? You access it from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're not saying it would benefit Camp Westwood?
Not the camp, but
not
the people on
people
Camp,
on
on
the,
Camp
that
Westwood.
street. Camp
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, yes, this is Camp Westwood Road.
mm-hmm.
So, excuse my ignorance, but it seems like 135 and 134 would be, are the shape of those properties is such that it'd be hard for anybody to build on those,
Mhm.
presumably.
Mhm.
Do people get a tax write-off for like donating or doing an easement? Because there's it'd be
They,
difficult to provide access to the greenway because of 135, but if we
Yeah.
could get 135 to give their property, then there could be an access.
sure, yeah, and if they did, for example, sell us the development rights, they would get a decreased tax bill
Yeah.
because they
No tax.
would not be allowed to build on that property.
It seemed worth approaching them as part of this because.
She's really nice. I think she would do it.
Yeah.
I think because we talked to her before about doing it and she was interested, so I think she probably would.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, she can't do anything with it anyway.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
So
Cool.
my other question is, if you just totally sold that L-shaped piece of your property, would you want it to be still private, or would you be okay with having the public on it?
As long as it's not the dirt bikes and the,
Yeah.
like that run up the greenway all the time, I mean.
So if we own it, then we decide.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just there's a lot of deer, there's a lot of wildlife up there and it's kind
Right.
of cool to see them all the time.
Oh,
And
I
just,
agree, yeah.
You know, there's nowhere for them to go, so I feel like it would.
Yep. No, I'm just asking, for like, if we decided to go ahead and, purchase this, what would, because we have some properties that the public is allowed on and
Right.
that has trails and stuff, and other properties that we don't have
Right,
the
right.
public access.
I'm sorry, who owns 136 again?
136,
136.1, that one?
that is owned by. Proventure.
Does anybody live there?
It does not look like there are
No buildings
any
on it.
There is
buildings on
frontage,
it.
though.
It has frontage. So it could be
Buildable.
buildable.
I just don't know if it's worth also just asking them out of, just out of curiosity, because that's a nice big
Yeah.
parcel if the two are together.
Oh.
It just feels like, using whatever money we have to buy a lot of little tiny things around,
Right.
whereas trying to get something more significant.
Yeah, when we rate properties, we always rate properties based on, like, whether they're adjacent to other protected properties and, so that does enter into our rating.
Good.
It is,
Yeah.
And
It
what
is
about
also-
73, which also doesn't
So,
have any frontage?
right, this is actually protected land as well. It's owned by, I believe, it's owned by the HOA for Raven.
Huh.
I believe this is called Ravenwood. And I believe 73 is, yeah, the Walker Farm Homeowners Association. They own this and they own this sliver here.
Do you think that was because when they put that development in, you guys required them to?
I believe it was a requirement because of the type of
Yep.
development that they were putting in.
And that's not land that they have so that they can in the future add more houses to it?
It
It
is,
looks
yeah,
like what
It's protected.
Protected.
yes,
Is that a river or a stream? that
Right
runs
here?
through it? Yeah,
yes.
so it's definitely protected. So it could be nice.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's some sort of funky trail system in there, whether intentionally developed or not. To build an
The
addition.
deer,
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Water
Funky
trails,
trails.
yeah.
Yeah, so we could potentially, and if Walker Farm were interested in this. Connect in a trail system, build a
Mhm.
trail system on yours, connect in one there, and then it, depending on acquiring 135 or not. You get people coming off the bike path, maybe they wanna take a walk through the woods.
Mhm.
Or the people in those developments wanna get on the bike path.
Right. So the only thing is, I'm not sure, and I asked Josh to clarify. If it belongs to the homeowners association, some of those properties are not open to the public, right? They're just open to those homeowners.
Yep.
But they
So-
can probably vote on that, I would assume.
Right,
Association.
Yeah, so I was,
It may be part of the condo laws.
I mean, I see no reason not to ask them about that and ask about 135 and 136 one.
Oh, 134.
Yeah, I mean, also might
There's
as
a lot
well.
of, yeah.
Mhm.
We could get access.
Or is
Cross 134.
Mahond.
Mhm.
Build stuff, trail right through those two lots.
Yeah.
This is the Rotary at what is it, 102?
102,
Oh,
117.
okay,
Yeah.
I see where we are, yeah.
Tell you that this map here is prime ag land soil. There's a good portion of this portion up there that's part of the community, non-community wellhead protection area. And we would be able to verify this if there's a lot of stone walls on the property.
There are some.
Yeah. We can see that on there as well. It's not in a floodplain. And its ecological units are good, but at least it's something.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a deciduous forest. With like some conifers scattered on the right side.
So,
Is there a wetland back there?
There is on the right side.
So probably a red maple swamp.
And over there.
Yeah.
Center of the property.
Across the way,
Yeah.
it's wet. There's nothing like that here.
Should be able to. Possibly.
National.
Where's that?
so Lynn is our,
Yeah, it's not the.
our mapping expert. She's,
It's not really helpful. Never mind.
No historic cemeteries on it.
Oh, is it?
At least
Oh.
not in the data that we
Not that we
have.
know.
Oh,
That we know about.
There are lost cemeteries.
I know.
yeah,
Oh.
Start digging.
yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute, yeah.
Shaped like a
You know,
coffin.
to discover.
Something shaped like a coffin.
What's that odd shape?
Oh.
We're just kidding. But it would be really quite interesting.
Oh, it would be cool, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, I don't want to.
No.
No. We're-
do not raise any ghosts.
Please.
No.
So how big, how many acres is that, Josh?
Give or take. Is about 20, it is exactly 25 acres.
Okay.
Hello.
Goodbye.
Everybody.
Good night.
We
We have,
Yeah, I'm just curious. What is? Would we consider this Western Coventry when we score it?
I think you would,
yeah,
yeah.
what is where is the
Right.
line?
Address.
Is it, I'm wondering,
Once you go past town.
What is
farm,
our-
right? That's Washington.
Right at the center, yeah,
Past town farm is like-
yep.
So part of, we have 3 brand new members, so we're.
okay. Look at that up later. So I think it's pretty clear we're all interested in
Mm-hmm.
this. So what happens after this is we will schedule a site visit, which we can do right now, with you. So we go out, we walk the property, we see what you're wanting to sell us. You know, we can ask questions about it. And then we come back at our next meeting, we score it with a scoring sheet that we refreshed it like 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm assuming it'll score just fine, and then we proceed with an appraisal. It has to go to town council for their approval. The good thing is what they would approve is the release of funds to acquire property, and those funds are only for that purpose, it's property acquisition. So it's not like you're competing with anything else.
Right.
It's not a quick process.
No,
That is the one.
So
And
that's
that's
the
the
one
one
thing, just,
thing.
yeah,
Okay.
it takes a long time.
Yeah, we hurry it along as fast as we can. but-
Does it take like years or does it?
Yeah, it takes well, how long have we been doing the Mende property?
So I joined 2.5 years ago,
Okay,
and we were working on it then.
we were working on it then, yeah, okay. So, yeah,
we're trying to
It'll be
move
a
more,
long time.
we're trying to move more quickly and more swiftly now.
Yeah.
We have a,
Which one?
Yeah, we're not
So-
happy about the speed. just for
Right.
the record.
Seven.
But you have to do, you have
Right.
to wait until you can get on
127.
the town council's,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, agenda and everything, yeah.
Yeah,
I would ballpark like less than a year, if we get it.
One
the way we want to
27
go.
does have a
yeah,
home.
especially because it's an outright sell,
Right.
sale.
Yep.
Oh,
You know, it's a little bit simpler than buying
Mhm.
rights.
No,
Right.
your property's been surveyed
It has,
recently?
yes.
Okay, so you
It
have
has.
Oh, good.
surveying to go
Yeah,
from to
the-
start with.
The survey, Coventry, is it Situate? Sir.
Yep.
That's- That'll,
Okay.
Yeah,
that'll help.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
yeah, it would just be the lines, like,
Right,
to
in between.
break it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did they mark it?
I'm
Iron
sure,
rods and
I'm
stuff?
sure,
think they
but,
were.
Okay, so we have a good start.
Mhm.
yeah.
And it would have to go through an administrative subdivision or something too, which, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, if you wanted to break that into 2 lots, that would be a minor subdivision. Which would be an administrative process. It would only be a couple of months tops.
We have to get an appraisal too.
Yep.
Do we need the appraisal before the subdivision? Or after, or does it matter?
We would need the appraisal before the town council would vote on it.
Okay.
And I imagine that the applicant in this case would not want to subdivide the property until they have a clear path for what they're gonna do.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
So
Just curious.
the appraiser would appraise it based on theoretical new boundaries, or would they base it on the value of the entire property?
They would base it on the theoretical new boundaries.
Yeah,
I'll make this is Lynn, for the record, I'll make a motion that we proceed with evaluating this property. Is it Potter property. Map 316, lot 111, at 387 Westwood Road, and then we score it according to our criteria and proceed from there.
Second,
all in favor?
I,
All right, none opposed, so voted that we will proceed with the potential acquisition process of the Potter property.
Does there need to be a separate motion to reach out to the 136, 4 and 5?
I think, we need to evaluate the property first and then think about the other properties. So I think at least that would be my feeling, that I would want to, you know, at least look at the property. And then we could talk about, you know, reaching out to others, you know.
Just wondering if like scoring it would be influenced by the likelihood of being able to get like a direct access to the bike path or the additional like doubling the size of the plot of land. But I don't know the order of things, so.
It would, but we still, you know, we don't know if we would get those properties at the end of the day, so I think just take a look at it first and then go from there.
Scoring will allow us to have other category for other benefits, kind of. So we can mark having those additional properties nearby as possibilities as other benefits. And meaning that if it lost out on, say, access for some reason, at that point, that.
Would we like to schedule a site visit?
sure.
Yep.
So normally we do these on weekends just because we all have day jobs.
Okay.
Usually mornings. Would that work for you?
Sure.
Is there a particular weekend that you want to do or that
Oh, it doesn't
doesn't, or,
matter, whatever's good for you.
okay. Well. let's figure out times. I, for once, am pretty flexible.
In March, I only am free, the 29th.
You do the 29th.
I'm personally gonna be away for that weekend, but,
You're gonna have to
Don't.
cancel?
but don't think that.
Well, can we go into April?
I'm going April.
People there.
I'm away those first 2
that's
weekends, so
true.
we're not gonna get everybody probably. We
right.
have to have a quorum of some sort.
Yep.
Mhm. So our April meeting, just so everyone knows, will be the 15th.
Okay,
So ideally we could do it. We'd like,
To do it before the next meeting.
so what about, so you're also busy the 12th and the 13th?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
I'll be in Indonesia.
leaving
but
me.
Wow.
I'm coming back on the 15th. Hopefully we'll be here for the meeting, but I can't guarantee it.
Okay.
So this weekend, people can't do the 22nd,
I'm gonna be away the 22nd this weekend,
and. Like, technically, they can.
but I mean, you can do it without me too.
Yeah, I mean, how many people need to be there? of
Right.
people?
quorum,
The quorum.
Or,
4, yeah.
Yep.
4?
Yeah.
If you,
Yeah.
if you don't do the site visit with us, isn't our common practice
Yep.
that you try and go on your own at
Yep.
some
Yep.
point?
Yeah, so you would work
So that you can
with,
participate in the scoring.
Yeah.
Got it. Don't make the site visit. It's. You won't be able to help score.
How many people were available on the 29th?
I think that's, yeah, that works for me.
Lynn, are you available on the
We're
29th?
available after about 10 o'clock.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
okay.
all right, 11 to 29.
and that would technically be a meeting, so we do require a vote for that.
Do I hear a vote?
So moved.
Seconded. Lynn?
All right. All in favor?
I,
Alright, unopposed, so voted. We're gonna have a site walk of the Cutter property on March 29th at 11 AM. Those who cannot make it will coordinate Mrs. Cutter for visiting it at some other time before our next meeting.
And can we move like on that side where that entrance is, because it's just easier to get in?
Here,
So,
No, right on the other, the right of way side.
right of ways.
oh, down,
Like down
here.
there, yeah, it's just easier to get in through there, like.
can we park along that road?
I think so, I think there's like, it's like a little park thing there, in
Okay.
there, like a little.
So what's the
what's
the name of
that?
that road?
Yeah, where's, what's
Raven
Raven?
Boulevard.
Raven Boulevard, yep. Ravens Boulevard, yep.
Maybe it might just be Raven.
Raven.
That's what I said there, but it might be.
Yeah, it's
like a
Raven
bird.
Boulevard,
Yep.
according to.
You come to the 117 and 102, from 117 to 102, take a left, and it's not that far up on your left.
Okay. There's like there's a area or anything.
Alright, so we'll meet you there at 11.
Can I have a thought? As a random outsider, if we could scroll, zoom out a little bit. We were talking about, you were measuring from this corner down.
The screen is touch.
Yeah, so, yeah. So could you, if you didn't have this property, could you start, I don't know how wide it would need to be to have access off the bike path through there? Does that make, am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, do you need 10 feet, 20 feet? Then
Um,
I can't get back. In other words, rather than coming right off of, oh, now I messed
What
that
do you
up.
say?
Rather than coming off that corner down there, you're coming off the bike path. Just enough to give you a way to get in off the bike path.
You probably could, but going through there, you know, it goes like.
Yeah, I don't know what the train is.
Yeah,
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 and it's wet, so
Yeah.
it's kind of.
Yeah.
Is it
It's not
different
really
on
fun.
the property?
It
The
gets a
sliver
little
of
better
property,
as
it
you
gets,
go
it
back.
does get a little better,
Gets a
okay.
little drier
Yeah.
than there because there's like a pond type thing. It's
Sure,
like
sure.
really wet
No, I don't
waters
know
there.
the topography at all, so it maybe
Yeah,
that wouldn't work at all.
I mean, the best entrance is through Baden Boulevard,
coming
but I
out,
don't, you
yeah.
know, I don't know.
And I assume we'd also have to do, like, if we wanted to do access directly from the bike path, that's like formal access, we'd have to, there'd probably be a whole process of like getting
Yeah,
them to allow us to make like a gate.
The bike path is state property for a good portion of it. I forget exactly where it becomes. Yeah, this is owned by the state.
Yeah.
DEM.
Yeah, and that would be probably a 9-month process for a MOA with them, a memorandum of agreement.
The same would be true if you were using that sliver of property there, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
actually,
just
it's probably
have to
longer.
ask the owner to allow the new line
Mhm.
to give us a tiny little chunk
Mhm.
Could we?
right here for access.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
what we're
either
saying,
one of
just like
those, yeah.
the terrain right off the bike path just tends to be very steep.
What's,
Okay.
we have topo lines on this?
I got better than that.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that looks. steep.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we could,
yeah.
as
But
part
as you
of
go
our
further
desire
back,
to get
it's
the
not
boardwalks built
Right, well, you
anyway,
can
then
see
we
it
could
Yeah.
look
flatter,
into getting
but
like
yeah.
stairs or something, but I just. feel
I
like
just
that-
trying to think if there's a way to do
Yeah.
it without.
Stairs
that.
would not be ADA
Right.
compliant.
You need a
It'd
ramp.
have to be a ramp.
or a ramp.
And
That'd be a really long
access
ramp if it's 100-foot drop.
If it comes down into that raised bed, I mean, not want that. You know, People are
I
sometimes
know.
hesitant.
I know.
Well, you were saying.
Yeah.
My brain, how we get into.
People on their bikes, but you
Yeah.
can make
Going
gates
over there.
that they really can't.
They can't go
They
through.
can
yeah.
go through if they're really, really.
Yes, well, they do. They get through there.
Yeah, Yeah, it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
It's, you can't
It's
tell, but it's,
up when you
yeah.
go in a bit, but
Yeah.
not too much. Cause it's a really gradual from there to the.
This looks like kind of a dip and then it goes up.
But also, if
Yeah.
we look into, what is that, 135? It looks
Yeah,
like there's a
135.
spot,
Yeah, right
Right
here.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
so like, if we could get 135 or even a portion of it, that might fix all of these issues.
Good. Well, they, right away, easement.
You can't do anything with it anyway.
Right.
because it's already in there,
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, she's just paying taxes on it.
Right.
So I think, given all of
And it
this,
might
we
be-
could
You want.
135.
Yeah, yeah.
Be my priority as far as like properties to reach out to for all of this, but again, I know that's later in the future, but as far as like. The other ones being like, this would be really cool to also have, I feel like 135 would like make the most significant impact as far as access goes, at least.
It would be good, yeah, we've had some snags as far as getting everything coordinated with that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um,
There can't be any dams on that property.
I know,
Right, that's
so,
the worst.
Yeah,
so we
4-letter word.
we have a property right now, the Grassett property. And we were supposed to be getting a right of way from somebody nearby, and that just never quite happened.
Yep.
And it's, so it becomes more complicated the more of that kind of thing you add.
Yeah, I mean, it would realistically, I think, just have to be an additional purchase of the plot as opposed to the complicated, like using it while it's owned by someone else.
Well, let's take a look at it and see what we feel.
Yeah.
Also, if approach EPM at some point and say, hey. How to do that.
Mhm.
And with some access.
Mm.
Off the bike path, they might
Mhm.
Yeah, because I had spoke to them about buying it and they said you would be more interested in it. So,
Out of curiosity, who did you speak to?
it was a woman, I forget her name,
Michelle?
probably, yes.
She's a major property acquisition.
Well,
Good.
the process is starting.
Yep.
so,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Feed my horses.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Good to meet you. Thank you for coming in.
Right. Well, I forgot to give her a magnet. Sorry.
Sidewalk. Bring another sidewalk.
Stick them on the trees.
That's right.
All right, so back to normal course of action. Thank you, everyone. I just didn't want her stuck here till
Yeah,
9:30.
Does that mean we're gonna be stuck in the night?
Probably.
You gotta talk faster.
Yeah.
No time limit. All right, so we have our meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve them before we discuss changes, corrections?
I so move Linda Brennan.
Can I don't know if this is something that is important. My name is spelled wrong one.
It is, yep.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's important.
It is.
It is.
it is.
Okay.
Is very important.
Mine is too.
Wait,
Wait,
uh,
it's Mars instead of Coventry.
Oh, that's,
I don't know why.
We do that on purpose. to
yeah,
fit
that
between the
you
minutes,
will,
Right?
Yeah, no, that's,
Changed my name. And I've tried to do this with them like 2-3 times and they still keep it as Mars, and everybody thinks I'm Mars.
if it makes you
that
feel
let's
better,
pick up
my
with
name's not
the,
right on my passport.
yeah,
Oh.
they,
Well,
no, that-
don't be traveling then.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pick up with
Yeah.
the town clerk.
Yeah. What's happening?
Yes.
They don't put apostrophes on my passport.
Really?
No, which means I get to spend the rest of my life going, hi, my name is this, how do you have it?
Wow.
Which is why it's wrong here, so. Do I
Other than
hear,
Miss Brock thing.
Okay, so
do I hear a second and then we'll discuss corrections, so we approve and then.
I will
Oh,
second.
yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Right.
I,
All right, motion passes to approve the meetings. Now on to our litany of corrections.
Miss Brock.
Mhm.
What page?
The second page, it's like the paragraph above the one that's all italicized.
It's also on the first page as well. I have rock there.
Oh, and Justine Johnson, not Johnston, on the members,
There is no T.
no T.
And I bet that's carried throughout.
Bowden is, again, don't know if there's even, Bowden is spelled wrong. Just right above.
Nope, there should be an I in there.
So my last name does not have a capital D. That will need to be corrected throughout the document. And just to double check of everyone's names, just to make sure there are no errors. Also on page 4, the Division of Law Enforcement from DEM, they're officially called environmental police officers, not game wardens. So that will need to be corrected. I'm also wondering if in the paragraph above, it says the representative DEM, but it doesn't include Dylan's name. I'm assuming we would want that included, just for record.
The representative from DEM, that should be changed to.
Dylan Ferrera.
Okay. I don't think he needs to be.
No, also members present, this is a grammar thing, there should be no apostrophe there.
That's very true.
mhm.
as far as saying whether he was there as a guest, I think sometimes it's helpful to say so and so joined the meeting at some point, or whatever, or joined the meeting for this portion of the discussion or
Yeah.
something, so it's not
Mhm.
clear.
Yeah, we have had that in the past. This is a new minute sticker for us. So I'm sure she's getting into the rhythm, but yeah, what time did he join them?
Or just say for this portion of the conversation or something.
Okay, so that should be added. Oh, on page 5, it says, under prescribed burns, I will get a quote of bird mansions.
Mhm.
Okay, I thought I like really forgot or missed something.
No, I read this 2 days ago, I'm like, what? I'm not sure what that was supposed to be.
Really snazzy birdhouses.
I was like, is this talking about like those, like the ones that have like a bazillion different little spots in them? Did I really miss something?
Burn something, a quote of for.
Quote of-
Burn
burn-
plan,
burn
bird management plan,
plan.
not bird
Yeah.
mansions.
Probably makes more
That's
sense.
it.
Yeah.
That explains it, cause I was
Me
going,
neither.
where did that come
A
from?
Bird mansion.
I was like, do we have to like understand like where birds are living in these properties or something?
Burn management plan. On page 5.
And supply them with exorbitant residences.
$685.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Look, sometimes I slur my words, I am a Rhode Islander. Any other corrections? So, to our minutes taker, I just want to thank you for doing all this, and getting our rhythm. I really appreciate it. So if you could just make those corrections, I think we'll be all set.
I actually make the corrections.
Oh, okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, on to treasurer's report. Thank you. You have to accept. On to outreach avenues to encourage organized volunteers. I have some stuff, but I know others have stuff as well. Take it away.
I have some stuff. Some of it is, yeah, like some of the stuff we talked about last time, but a few things I was thinking about are like added things that were brought to my attention. One of them is just, I know we had talked about trying to reach out to like Boy Scouts to do stuff
Mhm.
and that not working. And then I was just like, why don't we also try to reach out to Girl Scouts? And see if that would work.
I'm a leader.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
done. That's so good. Cause yeah, just trying to get people to come in and like do volunteer work and trail maintenance, things like that, so. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Pass those down. Here's your magnets.
And
We
then
get two.
I also
I think everybody.
made aware of, does everybody know about Farm Fresh Rhode Island?
Mhm.
Cool. So apparently they have a existing relationship with Coventry schools where they do work for like local food access and like access to like not access to local food. And then they like work with them to come up with recipes and have those like incorporated into the school's dining system, etc. And I know we talked about trying to have some sort of relationship with schools specifically. So because there is that kind of connection somewhat to like agriculture and, you know, healthy foods, healthy living kinds of things, I was feeling like maybe we can reach out to Farm Fresh, or I can kind of look into that program and the people that are in charge of it and see if there's like an avenue to kind of like have an in through that program into some of the schools here. Otherwise, just like some random things. One is that as far as like getting people just to be more aware and even just getting more people to like be on the email list and follow our social media. I just think we should have signs like and posters up at all the places that people are hiking that we own. I know like some places have those set little, those little hut looking things with the, you know what I'm talking about?
The kiosk.
The kiosk, thank you.
Yeah,
But regardless, I think there's a way to like put something up even without those, so that the people that are already enjoying and like a part of what we do actually are like connected to it. And that could involve like when the website is finalized, like a QR code to that. QR codes just to the form that I put together to sign up for that email list and like indicate people's interests. And then same deal, I just think it would be a good idea to have a little bit more content and like constant updates to the social media, and also put that form that I produced on the social media as just like a bio link, so that people can just directly from there be notified of stuff. Last things, I think it might be a good idea just as far as like if the reason that we need volunteers is especially like with all the crazy wind and things that have been happening recently, like if we just need more hands and bodies to do trail work and stuff. Save the Bay is on the RIPD community service referral list to do like cleanups and stuff with them. So just figured that might be something we would be interested in, and maybe trying to get on like the court ordered community service referral list. People can come and hike around and help maintain trails as something to get those hours. And then just I think should make flyers for the Earth Day celebration event to like have in schools or bring to local schools, leave in the library. And then ideally on those flyers, it would also have either a QR code or like something that mentioned more consistent volunteering or engagement opportunities beyond just the one event, but saying like, again, QR code to the form, or if you're interested in more things, et cetera, et cetera.
So last time you all mentioned that there's now the option to do fundraising, right? That wasn't around before, so if
Right.
there's any kind of QR codes to try to get people to volunteer, I would think also asking for if people want to donate would at the same time would make sense.
We just need to get a bank account set up,
yeah,
which,
because we don't have any flexibility right
Oh,
now.
yeah. That's part of the thing we're working through.
Great.
But yeah, we need that.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
we can't take any cash, just because we can't provide receipt for cash. So would have to be like a check, credit card, something like that. But yeah,
Would Venmo work?
Josh.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the town would mandate that the transaction happens. I imagine they would want an extensive paper trail. but, I'll check.
Yeah, I think realistically, if we were having like flyers up and asking people to donate, the like clunkiness of having people have to like put in credit card information or like write a check will completely,
Yeah,
like,
Couple
that will
bucks.
shoot down any people that are like, I don't want to give you $2. They will not if they have to put in like an entire credit card
yeah,
information, so
yeah,
Venmo would be ideal, I think.
it certainly would be. The problem is this town's had so much financial mismanagement. We just want to make sure that if someone were ever to come to us and go, what's going on with your money, we can say, look, this is all that's happening, nothing funky. That's why. Josh, could you also inquire as to the process of setting up a bank account for this?
Mhm.
Like how that happens, how fast that would happen?
I know being a hiker, hiking the state, I do know that a lot of people love having handheld maps, especially the kids,
Mhm.
when they get to a property, because they feel like they are navigating this trail. So
Yeah.
I know that's like, I always get disappointed when I get somewhere and there's no maps. Oh, I like having the map. I have
Mhm.
kids too, so they will. So that, there's never maps.
Right,
A lot of
so.
other places do.
If we, you know, I know that like at Audubon, there's usually like this little box with a roof, right? A
Yeah.
hinge roof that has maps. I know that Lynn could probably create the maps for us because she's our map person, but we need the box to put them
There's some on
in.
this site you can download of the properties.
Well, we have trail maps. for
Right.
Whipple,
Whipple,
Sullivan.
yeah.
The GPS.
Yeah.
There, and they're on the website.
I think
Don't
it's
have a
true,
lot
like
of-
people like the.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
And
the
we could put
paper.
on like the QR code or donate that
Yep.
information on.
We could print them out, put them on the kiosks, and Sullivan has a kiosk.
Yeah.
Sullivan has a kiosk. Whipple has a kiosk.
Yeah.
There's always the issue that we keep coming back to. Either vandalism.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say, and
People pulling this papers out and throwing them on the ground. So it's a balancing act, you
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
you can tell people. I mean, yeah, I love paper maps too, I love to have.
And
But then-
if they just show up on their phones instead, that isn't,
Well, yeah, something on the
Right, we
kiosk.
you have
that
that
pulls it
as
up,
well
like a-
before.
Yeah.
yeah, if there was a QR code that just pulled up a PDF of a map on
Yep.
that you could
Yeah.
use on your phone.
We even have the ability to have live maps where you pull up a website on your phone and then if your location is turned on, it will follow. You can see where your position is
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
on your phone.
A lot of people definitely not aware of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we haven't done it a lot, and again, it's mostly the time that it takes to put that together and the use cases. Then you also have people who get frustrated because they don't really know how to use them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So,
so, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, it's just. All these ideas are great. And we should try it, we should try having
Yeah.
paper maps of the sites.
you know, why
Because
don't we,
that'd be-
we'd have to have somebody make the little box, right? To put the flyers in.
We could do
Um,
that. We could
what's-
make Dad do that.
We.
You don't line up.
Yeah, but it'll work.
It's
Yeah.
rustic.
Yeah,
But
We do a
like,
trial run.
yeah, so we can do a trial one at one place and see how it goes.
yep,
Also, if you were talking about having something you envision to be in each kiosk, can you create that as a template for us? And then we can, and how many kiosks do we have? We have 3 or 4? 5. 5?
To it, so,
Yeah.
2 and
another end, yep,
Okay.
we have.
Whipple,
Still
we got-
has
And
another.
what-
Essentially have 2 of them,
yeah,
right now it's only 1.
So we
There's one at
need,
Whipple?
yeah,
and the other back entrance,
Not on the back.
yeah, not, yeah,
So that's how many? That's
5?
5. Okay, so if you can create the what it's gonna look like, and we'll look at it next meeting, and if we like it, we'll just go ahead and have Josh make 5 copies, and we'll go out and put them in the queue.
Need somebody to check them weekly and replenish.
Mhm.
Is it's when you reach in there, 9 times out of 10, you're pulling out Kleenex.
Okay,
So that's, yeah, that would be,
okay. No, I'm just talking about the thing in the
right.
kiosk.
But once you set that up, the key is to have somebody that's
With the
committed
maps,
to,
yeah.
with the maps, to make sure that
Yeah,
they're freshened each time. Because you're right, you don't want to put in 50, because some
Yeah.
kid's gonna pull them all out.
So for this flyer template. I mean, make it look pretty, obviously, but QR code to the trail map, maybe a photo of. Like basically just like pasting in the image of the PDFs that exist on the website to each of them. So people can, if they prefer, just take a photo. Maybe also, as far as I'm aware, like all of these trails are on all trails. Right? Yeah, so if I can look into and see if there's a way to like put a QR code link to like the all trails
They need
thing
to
for
have a
them.
paid membership to all trails, usually not everybody does, no?
Yeah, stuff.
No,
Okay.
you can pay or. you have to-
It can be
Yeah, that's
free.
great.
The thing is, it could be seen as the town endorsing all trails. Which, while it is wonderful, it's a private company.
That's fair.
mhm.
Okay, so for that QR code, is there anything else?
The wrong door down there.
No, Larry's here.
Okay.
Is there anything else that people would want on a flyer? Specifically?
Well, you can direct them to the website too, that QR, direct them to the website for other.
And maybe like if you encounter trail maintenance issue or
Yeah.
something like that, call this phone number. Which is-
Appreciate your feedback on anything, yeah, the
Mhm.
feedback kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start.
Okay, Larry.
It's a party.
Yeah. Elsa.
Yeah.
As far as the maps, I think the best place to start might be Whipple, because I can get to Whipple. It's not that far from my house. I can zip there. And if we did try to do maps as a trial place, Whipple, I'm just suggesting Whipple as the place to trial it.
Yeah, I
It
can
is
make
the
a
most
separate
popular.
thing that's like.
It is the most traveled, yeah.
Trifold for the map, and then maybe on the back. Or the other side also has some of this information.
Yep,
Stuff like that.
that
so
would
I'll
be
do that.
good.
Just sorry to be a pain, but depending on how we're printing this, like double-sided is tends to be.
So if we get, I think we can, the thing for the kiosk, we can just have printed when we get here, right?
Yeah.
Josh could just print it here in the office, right?
Mhm.
But for the maps themselves, we would probably have to pay to have a large quantity of them printed. And that would have to come out of our budget, right?
Especially if you want them on.
Hard stuff.
Right, so we'd have,
How it goes first, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe do like not super fancy paper and more casual printing, and then if that works out. I know a lot of people that have hundreds of dollars of Brown University printing money that can't be used on anything else, so
Oh,
if nothing
Alright.
else, I can be like, hey, you wanna help out?
yep,
mhm, if you want
and we can give props to whoever donated. Yeah,
Yep, cause you have to pay like $200 as part of your tuition to go just towards printing, and I used maybe like $20 in 4 years, so. Lots of people have dots that I can kind
Wow.
of grab from for that. So,
The maps, so they maps by yeah, that's, I mean, well, it's all kind of all of them anyway. But just.
yeah, I'll just have to do like a trifold thing.
I've got a few things on outreach, it's this is a little bit important calendar dates, but it already passed, so the fungi and flies, of which one of our people were here.
That was great.
According to the library, it was the second biggest event the library's ever seen.
Yeah, it was huge. It
Yeah,
was
that was
unbelievable.
really
Yeah,
wonderful.
well attended.
Yeah.
Great.
It was
Flies
fungi
and fungi.
flies, yeah. It's Mumford, I think.
Yeah, it was gonna be earlier and then like the 20th.
Yeah, the
Thursday,
second- I was in Puerto Rico.
right, you were
Anything
21st, yeah. And tomorrow night
Lovely
is
80.
native plant gardening at the library.
Yeah, we wanna try and get there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm gonna make it, cause I'm leaving the next day.
So library was beyond thrilled.
Yeah.
Great
Just
turnout.
positively gushing. You were great. Dina was great. They loved the crowd. I guess someone came from an hour and a half away.
Wow.
Where? Don't know, but that means we reached outside of the state.
Yeah.
And for a little, what's Coventry town? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So the library wants to continue doing events like that. The native plant thing, they wanted to know if we wanted to put our name on that. I decided not to just because and discussed it and it's tomorrow. But there is a native plant and planting for pollinators and wildflowers sort of deal. Having tomorrow with Jim Natali, who actually approached the library at Fungi and Flies. His deal is native plants. They were very interested in doing something about like the bay, warming of the bay, fishing, the fishing industry. So they're asking me, given what I do for a living, about some people. So John Lake from DEM will be at the library. I don't know when yet. They still will figure out that date. Library also wanted to know if we wanted to put our name on that. I wanted to ask everybody because we are a landlocked town. So I don't know if we want to. I'm certain we do have commercial fishers living here. We also
Oh, yeah.
just fish here. John Gratian is here. So
Yeah.
So like,
Well, I think there's,
yeah, there's fishing places here.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. All right.
yeah,
I will
So-
tell them.
Should we vote on it?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. no.
I make a motion to vote to put our name on the fishing event.
All right. All in favor?
I
Awesome. Motion made, none opposed. To put the land trust name on the fishing event, I will tell them they're very happy. So we are gonna do more nature events with them, just at their request, because it went so well. So if at any point someone goes, oh, I know of like a frog person or a hiking with children for, anything naturey, let them know. Or if one of us wants to go up there and say, lift trees.
well, I think you could talk about your woman's hiking group.
yeah.
My degrees in conservation. Was that I went to QUORUM. So wildlife conservation program, so. I would say Dina, does Dina run the fungi,
Yeah.
the program, so I know Dina.
Oh, yeah.
They just know a lot of people now at this point, especially like women.
Nice.
It was.
I
I
always
get a
love
lot of
meeting
social
wildlife
things
there.
out. That's really cool.
Excellent.
Do you want me to put you in contact with Jessica then? She's the events lady at library.
I know Kimberly Sullivan, I don't know if that name's familiar, but she also works for. DEM, and she does things like Project Aquatic and Project Wild, which I got certified for and the other two too. So that's another type of option, like kids can come down and like test the water in the streams.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
very sure
neat.
with that.
Yeah, I did give her Kim's name. Yeah. Not like personally, but I know of her.
Did that.
Yeah. All right, I will. Enter your name. Just want to tell everyone because they were so excited. Also, the Rhode Island Land Trust Council, which these people, they're the people, so we answer to the town council. We also work very much with the Land Trust Council, which is a nonprofit that kind of oversees all the state people. He belongs to it.
Yep.
So they have these creatures. We have one of them at Bowdoin, you know, the little metal creature things. So they did this thing called Creature Clash over the past couple weeks. Online, it was like a social media thing of you vote on like, is the acorn or violet better? Violet is ours. So I was just kind of reposting it on social media. Violet has not made it to the second tier.
State flower and everything. Yep.
Oh dear. They are continuing to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's down to 10 creatures now, if you're not familiar with it.
About it all.
So it's down
You get a
to,
free beer, you know.
I do, I have all my certificates.
and then next week it'll be down to the top 5, and then at the end of that,
Go on.
there'll be the top 1. There will be the mascot for the Land Trust Council for the year. So that's how that works.
Violet.
I'm sorry.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, I was wondering which one. I've seen it, but I couldn't remember which one was it.
The best one. Has been shot though. So probably without the shot.
Yeah, they've taken several have taken some damage.
One in Providence too, that one went missing, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And it got replaced. We have one down in North Kingstown, East Greenwich, and they just broke off the QR code.
Yeah.
It's easy to wiggle back and forth.
So bad.
They do, if you do see one that's not working, there's a contact number for the Land Trust Council that you can email. And they have a person that will go out and do what they can to fix it or replace it. If the violet, if there's violence of the violet.
Yeah, she got shot like a year ago.
Yeah. Is it like through holes or just dents?
Yes.
Dents,
But
yeah.
definitely target practice.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, I got my kid thinking.
Yeah, let's move on, cause
Just,
it's,
we're-
Sorry.
oh,
I just, where are we with, I want to get back to the school department, the duck design. That part about reach.
sure,
Okay,
let's not move on. I'm just trying to keep aware.
Yep.
That and
I was just
slate.
gonna ask if we can
Oh.
move signs.
Oh, yeah.
Larry could talk
Yep.
about.
Let's do
Oh,
this.
definitely.
Oh, okay. Then let's skip to science real quick.
You're on.
Yeah, it's kind of not science. That's where it fits.
Signage, sign really mapping. Mappings. You okay?
Yeah. I don't know what that was all about.
My throat, yeah.
Yeah, my throat.
So Larry used his,
Wow.
Gene, we call it, see,
It's a terrain model. And it's a little, I was hoping to get more elevation in it, so consider this the first version. I need your feedback on what else needs to be on it. Right now, all we have is the boundaries of the current land trust property, 10, and the roads and the water, but you know, there may be, if you're interested in, for example, in all the open space of town, we could add that, whatever you think.
What about the
It would be
greenway?
nice to have a final copy, but I do want to redo this because this is, the base of it's a little too thick. For example, this here, this is another one I've been doing that has a fuller, this happens to be Hadley, Mass. And this is one of the most famous, trail races along the, mountains, there. My son-in-law is a trail racer, so. I'm doing this for him, but I'd like to do that one with the same amount of relief
Yep.
that this has.
So cool.
I think the bike path is just be.
Yeah, the greenway would be great to have one there.
So I look great forward to your feedback. And then here's what you requested. I'll explain these.
Oh, nice.
I have
Okay.
a 3D printer
Mhm.
Awesome.
and so those, you want to revise those or
Let me get back
Yeah,
to you
think
on
about
this.
it, let me know.
I think we're probably gonna take the phone number off.
Yeah,
We don't
Yeah,
have
I didn't know
anybody
what to-
yeah, to
I
call.
noticed all the boundary signs have a phone number, God knows what that phone number is.
Yeah.
Whose phone number is that?
And then these are things I can print on the 3D printer for labeling plants.
Oh, very
Oh,
nice.
cool.
So, you know, obviously, put whatever text you want on it, have a small one and big ones, whatever color you want, I've got like 8 or 9 primary colors, so. I offer these. Or the land trust, however you want, if you wanna use them. Label.
Those are great.
Special plant, whatever. Anyway, it's, all of this is. My donation to.
Wow.
Wow,
That's amazing.
Thank you. That's so cool.
So you wanna keep that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
great.
so much. This
Thank
is
you,
really
Larry.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Very cool.
I don't know what these tools can do, but you have to know how to.
Yeah.
do them too. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Really incredible.
My thing would be a bike path, and then also because I assume we want to kind of one and done this, like, as far as the fact that we'll probably be acquiring more properties in the future. I think the ones that we currently have, but then maybe, like he was saying, if we wanted to do like open, available, public access green space, so
Mm.
that, you know, at least we have those on there, so if we do add more properties, like.
But the ones we'd be adding are currently privately owned,
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
couldn't put them on.
That's
there,
true,
right?
but
Yeah.
I think. I don't know, maybe having like. Just the or not necessarily unfragmented, but like. Public access green space, even if it isn't owned by us, at least adds to the number of things that we can put on here without requiring that we.
Or
own them.
including Audubon properties, maybe, does that make sense? We'd have to get their permission. to
Yeah,
do
we'd
that.
have to.
Yeah.
Just do Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
state
Parks
land,
and
That's
Rec.
true too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Indian
town-
land.
Yeah, town land, maybe.
Is this going in the library?
Lynn?
We can do, once we have this, we can do whatever we want with it. And I'm sure that he'd be willing to, even 2 of them, he said it takes 24 hours to carve one,
Wow.
so, you know.
By
but
hand?
Once it's, no, yeah.
No,
No,
machine.
it's the machine. Yeah, this would be insane to do by hand.
That would be 24 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get the data from Ritus or wherever, and then he's able to put that data in his computer that feeds into the machine to carve it.
Did you say something about a case at the library that we could?
Yeah.
well, there's a case at the library. As you walk in, it's right there in the center. And we just had for the 1 month for, I think, what was it, February? We had the
Yeah.
land trust display, but they changed that display every month.
Oh, okay.
So it's not something we can
Yeah.
permanently have.
But we could ask if it's put up somewhere else in the library.
Well, it could also be put up in the town hall, which would be a much more likely thing because the town. The library's very crowded, so, and it's, space is very limited. It was supposed to be the whole building and they only got half and, so. And I think, there's so much they want to put out for the patrons of the library, but the town has display cases and things as you walk into the town hall. And there's that big open space in between the library and the town hall. And
Okay.
some, those kind of places, or even here, there's all these empty cases. So
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
more likely to be places that we
Oh,
can
you're
use.
getting a lot more traffic in this building. Based on the new things that are going in.
Right.
Coffee shop and
Mm.
the other things you were mentioning.
Yeah.
So it might be able to go in there.
There's gonna be.
Yeah,
a
there's
coffee-
gonna be a whole slew of stuff over there. And one of them apparently is gonna be a cafe. Or
Oh, wow.
a coffee shop or something like that.
When is all the work gonna be completed?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Hopefully this year.
Mhm.
And with all the asbestos.
Yeah.
God only knows.
So we can have as many of these as we can get Larry to push out, and he seems to be very happy and willing to do it, and probably get upgrades as things change.
Yep.
Can we pay him for the supplies at least? Cause I can't imagine this is cheap.
He has some connection with some person who builds furniture here in town, and so he gets some scrap wood.
Okay.
Oh, well.
So I've asked him numerous times if there's something we can do for him, and he doesn't want anything.
I can give him
Wow.
a certificate of recognition.
Can
Put
bake
that
all
out.
something.
Yeah.
We
You
can
can
also
print
like
cookies,
put an
which we haven't
acknowledgement
done
thing
lately.
wherever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just saying, I'm just saying.
And then he can make a 3D copy of the certificate.
Here.
That's fun. It's a fun thing.
Great. Oh, yeah. It looks like.
That's cool.
Should we make space?
I think it's
It is a
oak.
Oh,
pretty big
Yeah.
slab of wood.
Alright, so we'll finish up signs when we're there.
What's that?
Finishing up signs when we get there. Is
Yeah,
that good with everyone?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
And then Rory, did you? have-
oh, just, I spoke to the superintendent and he's willing to do that name our mascot. So we
Okay.
were gonna reconfigure the duck instead of the one that we sent with, were you working on a duck?
Yeah, I sent it. This was a while ago, but like within the week after last meeting, I sent it in and sent it or to you.
And then, yeah.
No, well, yes and no. I will show you.
That's.
I know he had
Did you
some
vote on
dates. He wanted to
We,
know when we wanted
haven't
back
yet.
by or something
No,
like
I
that.
told him that we were meeting like this week and then we would have the final version, so we had to vote on the.
Okay.
The duck drawing, and
It's-
then,
The thing that I sent. It's basically just like the same thing that you have with every drawn duck. So that it's the actual duck from the logo.
That looks great.
yes,
Let's go.
yep, so, yep, we just have to vote on it.
Okay.
That's why, yeah. So I'm gonna move that we go with the duck.
Okay. I second it.
All right,
Linda
I'll send
Brennan.
it to the superintendent tomorrow and then ask him to distribute it to, we thought the elementary schools. And again, just name our mascot and we'll come up with a prize. And then hopefully be able to tie it into April's Earth Day celebrations.
That'd be
Do
awesome.
you need me to resend this document?
No, it's, we just had a vote on it tonight.
Oh,
That
okay,
was the
so
only
but you
thing.
have.
Yeah,
You have it.
We just
okay,
had a vote.
got it. Okay.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so voted to use Elsa's duck drawing and.
Also stop.
We're accomplishing
Through
great
the-
things tonight. Super good job.
Just
I
could
mean,
you
it's
write your
but
name,
it's a May.
write your name, the little, the wing there
Sign
like
it,
there.
yeah.
Also, I had picked these up some time ago. I wanted to pass these to Elsa for potential inspiration for,
Oh, thank you.
the thing that will go in the kiosk.
Nice.
Those are, one is from Situate, Conservation Commission. Kind of the same deal as us. And then the other is just like, I think a statewide of birds. I thought they were both very pretty.
Awesome. Okay, this is actually very useful. Thank you.
Oh, this one too. That's from Audubon. It's
Oh,
for
awesome.
volunteers.
Perfect. This one is less good. The image is like 7
Sample,
pixels.
I think so.
Yes.
Alright,
Alright.
so moving on to item 4.3 for website page updates.
Yeah.
Is this printout supposed to be our website? Or
No, that was just a little bit of info that I received and I thought I would pass it along.
okay,
On the website, we went to Ripple today and Bob took pictures of a salamander and a turtle and wood frog. They. And so we.
You're not looking hard.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so I thought, I sent the links, the photos to Josh.
Mhm.
can we put these up on the website for Whipple
I would also say that should be on social media as well.
on
like-
social
Like
media?
on the Instagram.
Okay,
Who like does that? Do you do that?
Yeah. Me and, a volunteer making farmer, so she
okay.
hasn't done it in a while, make me.
Yeah, I'm happy to contribute to that
At
as well.
some point, I would like someone to take it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am more than happy to do that. I love me
Lives on
some,
social media.
okay. Not what I was gonna say. You asked me to do the social media for
I did.
your business,
You're-
so, yeah. But no, I enjoy that kind of thing, and I think. like,
I get a
these
beautiful
pictures
bobcat on my
are-
trail cam too.
Please, like, all of these
And the
things
deer.
And the
are,
deer, yep.
all
the
of these
deer.
things, like, I think because
And the
we are
pregnant coyote.
all people that are out in our properties and just out in nature in Coventry and Rhode Island a lot.
That's
Like, it
adorable.
should just generally be stuff that we're like posting more consistently, because the more you consistently post, the more your pages are recommended to people and the more people see your stuff.
So can you pass those photos around, Josh?
Sure.
and
Yeah, I
And-
sent them to Lynn.
Lynn, okay.
Look how cute.
I'm tired.
Oh, geez.
No.
Great.
And they-
I'm not sure that
Isn't it
speaks well
time?
to our
Okay.
properties.
Grow-
Realize that.
Yeah. I was like, why does that rock have such like
Like,
even
the-
patterns
Oh,
on
that's
it?
funny.
And-
I don't know, but
Use that one.
The turtle's driving a 4x4.
To our polluted property here.
I'll just like. pull
Yeah,
her
it's
out.
lovely.
Put some moss on it. Yeah, put some moss on it or something.
Artificial reef. right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
But anyway, if you want to attribute it to Robert Brennan, although I don't think he'll care one way or the other.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
No, look at the
do
cute.
you have these photos in a digital?
I sent it to Josh.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay, cool.
So I should
Yeah.
send them to you.
Or I mean, it's up to you,
Or-
Jenna, like I am very
Uh,
happy to do that.
Send just- For me, send them to me for now. At some point, I'll get one, so maybe
And then I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah. On our town version of the website, our current version, we'll also need all the 3 members added, the 3 new members. Because right now, depending on if you Google the town's website, the old list was up there as of a few months ago. If you find another page, I'm not on there. So.
That really important,
It's a problem.
I would say. So.
Important calendar dates. We have the site walk on the 29th at 11. Most of us will be able to make it. Those who won't, will coordinate with Mrs. Cotter. We also have Earth Day on the 26th at Bowden, which we need to discuss the logistics of, because that will be like the week after our next meeting.
I've got a few things on it. I could share them. Did you want to say something on that?
No, go ahead,
Oh,
sorry.
okay, no, I sent Josh my like very rough, just like list of my own notes so that I would remember what to talk about this time, which is what's printed out. It's
I
very
wasn't sure you wanted me to.
Yeah, no,
print it out, but
I mean, might as well. The most important thing is like there, just for other stuff, there are like some links that I wanted to make sure we could get on the TV, but because you have it, it might be easier just to look at the bottom of the first page where it starts. So some ideas or things I was thinking about as far as like starting, like really getting going on that. First thing is like we need to figure out where exactly within Bowden we want to prioritize. And then I was also thinking on that same line, because I imagine that, you know, if we are successful in getting people to come out, there will be a range of ages and skills, or just like levels of comfort. So I was thinking as part of the process of figuring out where exactly we want to prioritize for the event, we can kind of have a at like different levels of need. So kind of for things that are like really large blockages, need like big chainsaws, people that can lift large logs, as opposed to that would be like red, as opposed to green, which is like limited tools, maybe like little shears, but can be done with young children. And then, cause I know we were talking about, we would print out a map of Bowdoin to like give to people, and I think just on that, we could have, like I could make a version of that that just has like the specific sites we decide on marked out and also like color coded. Yeah, because I assume it's like I said, after all the like really rough windstorms that have been happening recently, I assume there's probably a pretty wide range of different needed maintenance, and I don't want to like send people with young children out.
How
for
have you
the-
guys done these before?
So normally we gather just a group at the entrance and we go through together. Sometimes we'll naturally separate out and a few of us will be with the chainsaw and directing what tree needs to be cut down, and someone else will be like the loppers getting the small branches instead. But not as organized as this, so that would be good.
Yeah, but
So you haven't in the past like mapped out ahead of time where to
No,
do the work?
No.
Okay.
Well, sometimes like Jack and Dennis would go out ahead of time and say where there were trees leaning, whatever.
yeah,
And they would either go and chainsaw them, or Glenn had an earth mover, so he could drive in there and pull things out in his tractor things. So we knew ahead of time what areas needed to be, the extent of what areas and how much wood needed to be felled or cleaned up from the trail. And then we would pick up stuff, because that, was it a Bowdoin, we had the exercise equipment and wash machine, propane tanks, all this weird stuff that came out, yeah, and we had a,
sounds like photo.
yeah, and he would leave it at the trailhead, and then DPW would come and pick it up from there.
Right.
They pick
Yeah.
it up from the
Yeah,
trailer.
they would pick it up from there. We'd have to get it out of the property and to that area for them to pick it up. Yeah, they did the propane
Yeah.
tanks for target practice and things. I don't understand, like, what, you haul an exercise bike into the woods instead of just calling for a pickup. I don't understand any of
Probably
that.
way more.
Yeah,
it's
it's
one
one of those
less
things that
exercise
like
with it.
you can't like you
You
can't
can't, like-
even think about why. Yeah.
It's stuck on the curb and somebody takes
Yeah.
it. and you can't even have it.
Right, the same
I
thing like
did
with the
get
wash
that old
machine or something,
windshield out
like,
of there. the
yeah.
Windshield frame.
Well, there was an engine or motor or something, remember, at Stella Hall, and
There
like,
still is.
but
It's still there.
it's still there
there.
with the
Yeah,
crack, we've
and the,
removed one
The
crack case.
trail
And the
some-
two barrels that have been used for target
Yeah,
practice.
it was ridiculous, like you drag them in there,
Yeah.
like a wash machine, why do you bring it into the woods?
What are you doing?
So even if you and I would just.
I was
like,
just
go
gonna
into
say, we
this,
can
We can
do
just
a-
go around, walk through within
Yeah.
the next couple weeks and figure that out, and then I can.
The white trail is particularly bad.
Yeah,
I can
And I
tell
can
you
like
right
take
now.
pictures and
Mark it on the map.
Mark it
GPS
geo-
mark it, and then I can take this image.
yeah,
And mark out those areas, because I think while the idea of like doing it as like a big group is useful, I also think that we can't expect people to like all show up within the first 10 minutes of
Right.
it, and I think also it would be more beneficial for like, here's a time frame that we'll all be here, come and do it. And I think if we have these maps where people are like, okay,
Mhm.
this is an area that the things that I can do or the things that I brought are relevant to, then they
Right.
can kind of find them on their own.
And as long as one of us is out in front to
Yeah.
get people to
Right.
sign waivers
Right.
and check in.
Yeah,
then-
and also just explaining like
right.
this.
And
is
we
what
didn't
this
have
is.
any public when we were doing the chainsaw stuff, we didn't, that wasn't, we just went out and did that
Yeah,
and
I
just,
don't want any volunteers handling a chainsaw.
no, not at all, and it just, yeah,
No power equipment.
no.
Yeah.
And they would just move the logs to, you know,
Yeah.
off the, yeah,
Yeah.
off the path, but.
Well,
No,
let's figure out if
Dad
we
would want
even
to.
need that, and then,
The number of times I come home and I just hear a chainsaw sound in the backwoods because he's decided that things need to be adjusted,
talking
but.
Right,
regardless.
yep.
But yeah, I think that would maybe be a good idea, just an idea that I had and something that I think you and I
That
could
would be
do.
It's making a horror movie, you see.
What's that one that was filmed in the woods?
Well, I can be the person who sits there and greets people,
Yeah.
because
I've
you know,
Yeah, 'cause I
I've
know
never
you
even
mentioned
entered
it's a
from the
tough- yeah,
Williams
it's a-
Crossing
it's
side
one thing,
Yeah.
before.
Right, if you could like be greeting people.
Well, you should see what was dumped at Williams Crossing side.
We might wanna have people's.
Yeah,
new trails starting here, because this is where the parking is as well. And then coming in here, not going on Upper Yellow, because this goes to this really difficult.
yeah, that needs a, yeah,
Very difficult to cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids, small kids or.
and depending on the weather and if it's been really wet, it's treacherous, yeah. Although your dog loved it.
Somebody sit here.
Yeah, and then she tired herself
to
out.
direct
Yep.
people down.
Yep.
Here, possibly down.
the
and
Greenway,
then
yeah.
turn around, go back.
Unless, as Jenna was saying, like the white trail is one that needs a lot. of
It's very
work.
messy, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to want people entering from both sides or just one?
Just mainly blood road.
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
ledge, right?
Because
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
I mean, or how many people are gonna make it out on the white trail?
I don't
Yeah.
think they are, and the parking's not as good as it is at, on the ledge side.
It's actually not as far as a walk as it seems from the Ledge Road entrance to that white trail
Yeah.
intersection. The problem
Okay.
with Williams Crossing is that even though it is parking, the landowners there have requested a minimal presence from
Right.
us,
Yeah.
so.
So
why.
Right.
maybe, and I know we're gonna talk about the, wetlands, crossing bridges, all that stuff at
Mhm.
some point, but we should
Yeah.
also mark
Mhm.
that because we might as well
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
have all of that
Yeah, that would
information.
be nice.
figured
Yeah,
out
we
at the
can-
same
we can-
time.
Yeah.
We can just do that.
Yeah,
Are you
considering
doing
that.
it on the 22nd or something?
26th of
okay.
April.
Yep.
Yeah, at what time did we?
Is
No.
that 10 o'clock, I think?
That's good, that's already got me.
Oh,
Yeah, you're right.
take back your permit. Yeah.
So
10 a.m.
that'll be,
Taking my magnets.
the 26th of this month?
April.
No,
April.
April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April for
Because
birthday.
The
Birthday,
weekend
Yeah.
following Earth
yeah,
Day.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's,
we're not ready.
the actual day is the 22nd is Earth Day.
Right.
Yeah.
So, will there be enough to technically be a quorum?
Where?
But it's an event.
At Earth Day?
At the day where you guys go and figure out what has to be cleaned up?
Oh, you need a quorum even to walk the trail and mark stuff?
Well, I'm not sure. If you are, if you're just gonna meet and go and walk the trail and mark stuff,
No, we didn't have to in the
No,
past.
you-
I don't think you would
Because
have,
we would
yeah.
bring
It's
back
not
to
a-
this
Right.
group
Yeah.
and say, this is what
Yeah.
we saw.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
discussing
Yeah.
any type of business.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Future
we're
or
just
past
going
business.
on
I think
public
that's
records.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would probably.
We
just
can
be
take
the two
pictures
us
of
and-
everything and
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So
Uh,
we'll also
I
need
have-
a flyer for that, like now.
Yeah, that was the next thing is we should start reaching out. I know we got like some people that signed up through that form from the library event. I don't know if there is a place where the existing email list.
It's kind of scattered. I have some, you have.
I have some, but I
Yeah,
can send you them.
if we
I'll send you
could-
both them.
yeah, if we could just like put that all into one place. Then I'm happy to make a flyer that we can put up. And then also just be reaching out with that flyer, at least the information on it to the email list.
Yeah, and I have access. We have a Coventry Land Trust at Gmail, so I can
Perfect.
send it from there, so that way it's not your personal email.
Perfect.
do we want to do this letter to neighbors thing before our next meeting too, just in case we get pushback?
Oh, yeah, that was just a draft that I put together of
Yes.
what we might.
Because, you know, with the
mail
postal
to
service,
people.
by the time it gets out there, it might be.
What do you mean, we drop it off, not mail it?
We have to mail
We
it,
have to
right?
mail
We have to mail,
to
you
mail
can't
it.
put anything in mailbox.
Yeah, but,
Isn't stand, yeah, only the postman, people can put stuff in a mailbox.
Does everybody want to read this letter to neighbors thing real quick? And
Okay, when I find it.
Let the land trust people know
Okay.
about it.
Thank you.
Okay. So that they can.
Yeah, I'll need to.
Could I
yeah.
petition to change the email address to planning at Coventry
Yeah,
RI?
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this
Okay.
was just whatever I could come up with in the moment.
Mhm.
I also don't know if that number is accurate.
It is.
Okay. And then did that email still go to you?
Yeah.
So then reach out to our blank, like what title did I put there?
Reach out to town staff.
Okay.
Planning staff,
Yeah. Yeah, either town staff or planning department staff or
Do you still want your phone number there, or just email?
my phone number is the standard planning department phone number.
Oh.
Do you want to give them your
So
cell
what do I
phone?
call?
Yeah,
So what am I calling?
same thing.
Oh. Cool.
Looks good to me.
Short and sweet.
Yep.
You know, sign and get long, that's,
That's just, yeah, I didn't know what road.
Ledge Road. All right, so if we can, okay, so so ideally they should be in the mail within the next couple weeks, which would be plenty of time for them to get to people. And if they have any questions to reach out.
And so just for my knowledge for when I receive calls, it's just gonna be a couple hours. You'll take them down that afternoon.
Yep.
Looking at telephone poles, etc. Is 2 hours gonna be enough time?
Well, we're gonna
It's
probably.
4 hours if it's 10 to 2. Oh, it's 10 to 12.
Yeah.
I put it to 10 to 2, just in case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was 10
Yeah.
to 2.
And if we're
And
out there
you know,
less,
Bye.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we'll so the event is 10 to 2, but we're also probably gonna put the signs up before then, right?
Mhm.
Right,
So,
by
okay.
9ish.
yeah, I think
Nine.
it says signs, I just lost everything. I think it says signs will go up that morning.
We'll go
Yeah.
up that morning and taken down the same afternoon.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't specify.
okay.
yeah, and just bump it 10 to 2. But yeah, it's just to direct people because it can be a little bit tricky to find Bowden if you're not sure of where you're going.
Yep.
And Ledge Road looks like a driveway.
And then how are we advertising this event?
So I'll throw it on social media. The Rhode Island Land Trust Council has a meetup page, which is like an events database, and that goes out to their listserv. We'll send it out to the emails we have. We
Library
could-
will post?
yeah,
Do you need me to make a thing for social media, like a post?
yeah, if you want to, you can.
Because I just don't know, like, what the plan is for, like, what we would actually be posting.
If you wanna draft it and then I can post it. That wouldn't be meeting.
No, it would just be the two of you,
Alright.
so that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put it on the town website as well?
That would be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That would be great.
2,000 ladies in there, hopefully.
Oh,
somebody-
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there an
then
events
we
thing
also
on
need
this, on the
Excellent.
website?
No, so it's usually like right on the front page of the town website, if you just click on the logo.
This?
Yeah, and then when you scroll down, that's where it is, but that's why we're trying all these avenues.
Oh, okay, so it'll be here somehow.
Yeah,
Magically.
and then
So cute.
we could put some local stores, so like Dave's usually takes our stuff.
Yep.
So
I don't know if
should I
Stop
also then
does.
make a flyer in addition to the?
Yeah.
The
flyer, please.
schools too. Usually like, I know Washington principal sometimes will share things like this
Okay,
to the parents. That goes out in like the weekly email.
that would work.
Possibly.
Yeah,
That's fine.
We can attach it to the color my mascot thing.
we'll do that.
Yeah, so that'll go to all the elementary schools.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will prioritize that so we can send that out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I like attaching it to the mascot.
Yep.
That's great.
Mhm.
Good idea.
And then, so I'll edit this letter draft, how do we go about that? Like, do I just print that and?
The mailer will come from the planning department. return address should be
It's
planning department.
official land trust business.
Yep.
So I don't see why it wouldn't come from the land, from the planning department. I mean, it's official town business,
Yeah.
so I'll just throw it in the outgoing mail, and if anybody complains, I'll
Do you,
figure it
are
out.
you able to pull the addresses off of Ledge Road easily enough, or do you need us to get those when we are out there looking?
They're right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're on the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
the tax assessor site too. They're all listed
Super easy.
with name and address.
Yeah. We'll work that way.
So yeah, I guess I can just edit this and then email you the like final thing, and then you
Okay.
can do with that what needs to be done with that. Awesome.
You don't have to mail.
True, true.
What is that Central Coventry Land Company? That, if you scroll up. No, scroll up, but I'm curious about that one too. Yeah, that, what is that?
It's strange, but we'll try to do it.
Is that the developer? I'm wondering, for that set of residences.
Owner address is the Potter Farm,
What?
interestingly enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's. the
Do they
Potter-
know?
Yeah,
Weird.
Okay. That's bizarre.
We good for?
Yeah, we're good for that.
Yes.
Um, any other important calendar dates? So potential properties of interest we had, this is covered here. Anything else anyone seen like on the market or just driving around?
I have two properties under new business. But we can either discuss them then or discuss them now, discuss them next time. They were just two I came across.
Well, do we want to discuss them now? Maybe do them later next time, if people feel.
What time is it getting to?
Yeah, why don't we get through the
Yeah.
existing stuff and then if we
Okay.
have time
Yeah.
after that.
That's what I was thinking. On everyone's opinion. All right, grant opportunities.
Yay, this is the bulk of
Yeah.
the stuff that I did. So yeah, it's one of the main reasons I said the document was, like I said, for the links. This is very draft for just my own being able to talk about it, but I'm glad you guys have it. Might help understand what I'm saying. Looked into a lot of possible grants and funding opportunities for us. Some are more relevant and probable or realistic than others. There's a lot of them, so I apologize for that. One first like overarching thing is there are some grants, though I doubt we would be applying for grants that are more than like $25,000, which generally most of the ones that fall under this category are that amount of money. But some grants require you be an accredited land trust, which like you have to go through the Land Trust Accreditation Commission.
Which we can't get. I've inquired about it.
We
Doesn't really apply
can't,
to
you
us.
said?
It doesn't really apply to us, as a municipal land trust. It also costs like a lot of money.
Okay, so yeah, that's just like a small thing, but again, most of the ones for the amount of money I feel like we would be asking for, that isn't super important.
On that, if I may,
Mhm.
we do have somebody in the town manager's office who specializes in grants and is really good at grant management, grant writing, all of that good stuff. So if you run across a grant that is quote unquote too large for the land trust, we do have options.
Good to know.
So we could like fold something of ours into a bigger grant for the town.
Or if there is a larger grant that the land trust can't handle, we might be able to pull in the town.
That'd be nice.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, I'll just kind of go through them in order. I've bolded some that I feel like are most important, but the Land Trust Bird Conservation Initiative, this is one that if you want more than like a certain amount of money, you have to be accredited, but not for the $10,000 grants. So between like 5 and 25 generally, but they're like $10,000 grants. So yeah, it says like any land trust or conservation organization developing programming specifically to support or build capacity for land trust is welcome to apply. Et cetera, et cetera. I included some examples of ones that have happened in other towns, so like Connecticut and Massachusetts. Like making birding more accessible, so getting like spotting scopes and binoculars and like doing like field trips with local schools and doing like an eBird event. That kind of thing. Part of the like, because this is from the like bird conservation initiative, it's part of like Cornell's big bird thing. You have to, you know, obviously demonstrate like a contribution to bird conservation. So I was looking into property that we could reference. Maxwell Mays property obviously is Audubon owned, but it's important bird habitat in Coventry. And as far as kind of limited like limited habitats that we have, like the Whipple and Hope Meadows, and like meadow habitat in general, we have quite a bit of that, and like that bog marshy habitat that is really valuable for birds. And also was just looking into a couple things as far as more general habitat types. The classic like Rhode Island / New England colonial experience is everything was like cleared and then everything restarted all at the same time. So yeah, like 75% of the trees in Rhode Island are between 40 and 80 years old, and only 2% are between 0 and 20. So wildlife, birds also, but wildlife in general that require that early like successional habitat basically just don't have as many places to go. So trying to identify if we have that, and also
What, the
Okay.
old growth?
so this would be
I'll talk
yeah.
about the old growth. That's an issue.
yeah, old growth is the next thing. This is like the two sides of it, so it's like looking for new growth basically, and also old growth, but not that in between necessarily, because that's the two extremes are what's lacking. I don't want to go too far into this just for time, and also because this is just like this is something that I think is really fun, but might not necessarily be super relevant. Like I was saying, there isn't a lot of old growth in New England in general because everything was cleared, but the existing old growth is really important. There is an old growth forest network that has like their own opportunities and their own kind of like, not accreditation, but you can be a part of this network. Or you can have something in your area, part of that network, if you identify it as old growth. And the only known old growth forest that, or at least the only one that is within this network in Rhode Island is on Aquidneck Island. But you know, because we are kind of far from, or relatively far from the coast, and there's, I think, possibility that we have old growth. That's just something to think about. I was thinking about this largely because I went to a seminar through work that talked about like using tree coring to not just identify old growth, but also like look into and explore and show people, teach people about like the history of land and the history of like the trees, and how looking at the different tree rings and like all these different things that are involved in them, like coloration and size and et cetera, you can identify like key moments in the history of an area of land. And because I feel like most of the environmental history that is known or discussed for Rhode Island is all like coastal. Just feel like it could be a cool thing to think about as a.
Is this still part of the bird?
Yes.
Are you saying that this is stuff that they would be interested in, but if we
Yes,
identify?
so if we
Sorry, I
could,
just want to make sure.
yeah, if we could identify. Like part of, because it's the bird conservation initiative, we'd have to identify like how we could use money to support bird
So-
conservation. So old growth or new growth could be a part of that, is the idea.
On the old growth thing, I just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
The Old Growth Tree Society does not follow accepted scientific principles that have been defined by forestry science. So I am not interested in getting involved with them. I previously looked into them because I love trees. I've published a paper on trees. They actually reached out to me over the weekend asking for us to sign a letter against a bill that's currently going through the House and Senate in Providence saying, and they want us to sign against this bill that would promote the forestry industry. I think it's a good thing to promote the forestry industry. There's also no old growth forest in Rhode Island, unfortunately, as a result of all that has been cut down. I'm certain there are trees, and there are trees that are hundreds of years old. We just don't have any forests that would meet the standard of having the microbial network, the fungal network, the structural complexity of being an old growth forest. So that's my beef with them.
I was gonna mention, and I'll mention it when we get to the talking about the bridges and things that we need later, the grant for that or whatever, but I happened to accidentally run into the Situate Land Trust when I was walking the other day. They were out doing a cleanup of Leuba Farm, which was good because they weren't answering me when I was trying to reach them, so I got to grill them instead. And I have all their business cards and stuff, so I'm all good. But one of the things that they just did, and I'm wondering, I'm gonna ask them if they actually did something with this grant that you're talking about, because their new signs have birds on them. Like they've put in a new signs at all of their trails. They've done a lot of work, but they have a beautiful sign that has a bunch of different bird species on it. So I wonder if they got some funding from this
Farm is like a
to do that.
super cool bird habitat in general, so I would
Yeah.
imagine.
So I'll ask them if they got one of these grants, because that
Yeah,
might be a
that would be
similar,
great.
yeah,
As we do have early successional habitat, part of the interest in prescribed burning will also in part create that habitat, at least open up the understory a little bit. So it would be good to capitalize on that. Birding is just also such a big like
Yeah.
ecotourism draw.
Absolutely.
Why not?
The second Rhode Island Bird Atlas just came out within the last year or last 6 months or so. Incredibly detailed account on where nesting sites occur. Because and then there's a big fat book, and I don't know its name, that just came out that's like all the sightings by all the birders for the last 100 years. And it's like Becky and Joe Smith on the 7th of June, 1972 saw 2 adult female and 1 juvenile male, such and such, on an elm tree. It's astounding.
Wow.
And I can get that. We have those at the Natural History Survey Library, so I'll send that information. And they, if you're trying to do something with birds, so
Yeah.
they're gonna
That's
tell
cool.
you exactly where the birds are.
That would be great.
And whether or not they're nesting, because nesting is a lot
Yeah.
higher,
Right.
obviously, than passing through is
Passing through.
important,
Right.
nesting is
Is it
wicked
a
important.
source population?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Next.
And on the tree thing, if we can do dendrochronology, that'd be so awesome. I just do not want to have an association with the old.
Yeah, that's very fair. I just was like having such a good time at this little seminar where they had all these little tree cores and the way
should
that they do
read-
it and a little microscope, and it's great.
Have you read a Sand County Almanac?
Mm.
You should take a look at it.
I
It's
shall.
by Aldo Leopold. He's a father of wildlife science, but he's got a whole chapter in which he goes through the tree's history through its rakes. It's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Also just an
Yeah.
excellent book.
Do you have
Okay.
a list of the rare species for Coventry?
For Coventry?
Yeah, do you want one?
There is one?
I can make you one.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Can we have one?
Yeah.
Sure.
It would be really helpful if you could send a quick email to David. And me, saying the Coventry Land Trust requests a list of the rare plant and animal species in the
Will
town
do.
of Coventry. Because we just did one for Westerly gets one every year, because he asks.
I would like one.
Yeah, I figured you would.
I'll just kind of speed through the rest of them. You guys have them,
Yep.
so you can also just see. And the document that I sent to you, like this online, you feel free to share with people because it has the links to each of these things, like their actual websites. Urban and Community Forestry Grant Program. That one. Pretty similar grants between 2 and 10,000, but they require a match, or their match requirement is 50% of whatever's awarded, so I don't know if that. Kind of makes it out of the picture for us.
Once we get another grant to match. it,
Exactly.
which would be good.
but theirs are all obviously street related, at least the ones that are relevant to us. The next one is one that I think could be really cool. Is the NRCS EQIP Environmental Quality.
Oh, equip.
Yes, EQIP, thank you.
Equip.
Which I am now forgetting what the last word is. Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So it's specifically for working land and owners of like forest land. In order to get financial assistance through this, at least as I understood it, you need to have like a farm number. I know we were talking about last time, like about like needing to be able to designate something as a farm or something else and all that, but so that's just something that's relevant to here. And then and then I just have a list of like some of the things that I saw in there, examples that would be relevant to us as conservation practices. So nutrient management plans to minimize or eliminate surface water or groundwater pollution or minimize emissions. My favorite was the climate smart agriculture and forestry activities that create or enhance pollinator or wildlife habitat on farms, forest lands, ranches, and urban areas. Ignore my little excited bees comment. I think it would be really cool if we could do like if we could do something bee related or even have honeybees on our land, but that's actually another conversation. And then yeah, just generally the working with people to mitigate wildfire risk, improve water quality, and restore ecosystems. So they have this, like I have the grant process there, which as it says, like you need a social security number or employer ID, and then you need a farm number. So that would be its own situation. And their thing is that they accept applications year round, but they have like ranking dates, like when they sit down and look at them and rank them and decide which they go to. If you miss those, then your application is just automatically applied to the next funding cycle. The next ranking date is June 6th, which is obviously not something that we can do. They don't have any others on their website right now. But that is that.
Just NRCS. They maybe could put
True.
just to.
And this is the
a real
case with a
buzzkill,
few of these.
Anything federal,
This is the case with a few of these. Ride green space
it's
grants.
been really depressing.
They do a lot of stuff for acquisition and development. But in general with this one, they all still have like a pretty high contribution, but this one I kept it here because most of the grants that I've seen are for a lot of money and are largely for acquisition. And I don't know, like, because obviously we don't have, it's not our budget that is used to acquire land. I don't know, like, if that could be involved in that meeting, like a $20,000 contribution-ish to get those grants that are like 100,000 plus for land acquisition. That's its own thing. Trails capacity program. Theirs is also kind of like wishy-washy based on how much money they themselves get each year. And it's closed for 2025, but this one would be related to all like the trail maintenance and stewardship training stuff that we're talking about. Same with recreational trails grant program would also be really cool. And realistic, I think, for us, but they are funded by the Federal Highway Administration, and they are just like everything is pending right now, waiting on if they get funding from the Federal Highway Administration.
They're not.
The next one though, last one is, I think, also really cool and potentially realistic, and that's the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And state assistance program. So it provides matching grants to states and through the states to tribes and local governments for the acquisition and development of public outdoor recreation areas and facilities. And then blah, 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 blah. So it can be involved in acquisition of land and waters or partial rights to them, development of certain outdoor recreation activities and support facilities needed for the use of that area. And then I have like in here, like what an eligible project scope might look like. But I think there's a lot of things that we've been talking about just in the last couple of months that could fall under the requirements for this kind of grant. There, again, like the handbook that I was looking at for them as far as like how to apply is very long and very confusing. But what I gleaned, I don't know if it's correct, but what I tried to understand is that there isn't like a set yearly timeline. It's more like when you have a project or have a thing, you submit something and you just give them 30 or 60 days from when you like want to get the money and start doing something. And yeah, they have like a map of all the different things or projects that they have funded, and there are some in Coventry, but they're from like the 70s and 80s, so like there's a lot of like even just surrounding towns have ones that are from like 2010s, but ours are all from like 70s and 80s, but it has existed at least, so there's something.
So it seems, I mean, it's great to know what all the grant options are, but until we know what priorities we have as a group and what we actually want to do, it's hard to know which grants to go after. So is there sort of a working priority list of things, like the
That's
hopes
our,
and dreams list for the Coventry? Trust?
so our strategic plan, which is wherever I lost my agenda. So that we were developing a strategic plan,
Yeah,
so we didn't have one.
it seems important.
Might be important. Our last meeting was January, I think, about it, and we got pretty far. But we just need to revisit it. We just had that stalled because you need a quorum to hold a
Yeah.
meeting, and we were memberless, so
Right,
quorumless.
yes.
So
Is there
I
like
just
a
wanted to put-
draft or something like?
there is,
Mhm.
yeah,
I think a lot of
It
it's like
has it, yeah.
acquisition and maintenance,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the maintenance of the trails is the priority.
And the acquisition piece, there is money for that.
$2 million.
Yes.
The
It was 2 million.
acquisition
Yeah.
part, we have a snag,
Right,
Right.
because we have money to acquire land.
we've got to get
In order to acquire land, we need to have an
appraisal.
an appraisal. And we don't have money enough to cover what the appraisals are coming in at.
I wonder if any of these grants would cover an appraisal.
Well, the other problem with appraise, finding enough people to do an appraisal, because we used to have to go out to bid to 3, right? We had to
Yeah.
try to get we'd have to go out to bid, and then finding a person, and appraisers are incredibly hard to come by, appraisers. And that was the other thing that we ran into as well,
Yeah, so the appraisal piece is a big snag.
because they
I
can be
also
3
have
to 6 grand on an
A grant
appraisal.
that is
Yeah.
due June 1st, and so I
we
want to
need to
get
make
to
it-
that
yeah.
before.
Yeah,
And-
and this is just in response to, I was asked to put together a list
No,
of
this
potential
is-
grant opportunities, so now we have it. I'm sure there's more, I'm sure some of these are more relevant than others. But
Yeah.
again, you guys will get this document virtually, so there will be links to all of these things. So that we have them going forward.
Yeah, no, this is definitely awesome, and this is super great that you put this together, so. Yeah, thank you for doing all that.
Is it allowed outside of our time together to like reach out to any of these and ask whether they would ever fund appraisals if it meant that it was gonna lead to acquisitions, which is what they're supporting?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, as long as you're
I think
asking,
it
yeah,
is.
you're just asking the question, you're committing
Yeah.
anything, yeah.
Right.
That's how we found out about, what was the, we applied for a grant for last year or so, the little, it was like 6,
The
was
Cornell
Cornell
one?
one, yeah,
Yeah,
we just, applied for it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can just say, I'm a member of the land trust, we're interested in seeking appraisal funds.
Okay.
With this. fall.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I was tasked with looking into the grant from Audubon Society for people to work on our trails and youth stewardship. So I went through the application, and for some reason you can, at least I couldn't figure out how to fill it out and save it without sending it in. And so I ended up just downloading it and writing it out and, in pen and ink. Anyway, so this is what it looks like. But there's some information. First of all, I want to double check that I have the right information. And that this is what you want us to ask for the grant. I want to make sure we are committed to and we also have to commit to having 6 volunteer hours working alongside those people. Which, I wanted to ask about that because I know that that's not something I physically can do, but other members of the
Well, you can be
Yeah,
there.
I can.
Yeah.
You can piecemeal.
I will very happily do that.
Okay, okay, so if, as long as I can say yes to the 6 volunteer hours and yes to, the $600. Note your preference for work days, and here they have to be Monday through Thursday and, and it's from July to August. So is there any days that we have to, that would be first choice, second choice? Anyway, and that has to be the people who are volunteering. And
Well, I would avoid the 4th of July week in
okay,
general,
Mhm.
and
Can-
maybe
can
the end of
I,
August when there's return to school time.
So just because I ran into those Situate Land Trust people,
Right.
and just asked them about, because they used this group.
did they?
Yeah, to do, and they also did a lot of their own volunteer hours, obviously.
Right.
Mostly they were a cute little group of retirees out there with their saws and things. They were adorable, but anyway, they had to get an engineer to design these things. They had to get permitting from DEM in order to do any of these things. And so it took a while, and I was going to reach out to them and try to get a timeline from them. But my worry is that knowing that we may be out of luck for the 2025 cycle.
Okay,
That would be my worry.
I thought we thought about doing the Sullivan entryway.
Yep.
instead of Bowden.
So- and that was the other thing, is that I wasn't sure which one, I wasn't clear in my head which one we wanted to have done.
Yeah.
So if we'd really rather do the entryway into Sullivan, what would we need for that? So do you want me
And
to
also, do
apply
we
for
think that
that?
this is something that we could like do multiple years in a row? Because I would hate to while I understand that Sullivan also needs it, if like this is our chance to get people to do the work at Bowden, if we wouldn't be able to like get this grant a second time next year, once we have all the Bowden, or when we end up having the Bowden stuff figured out, like, I don't know if, I guess it's a question of would we want to do it this year for Sullivan if we couldn't get it in the future? I don't know if that's the case. I feel like I don't. think
Sullivan's
Audubon
gonna
is
need
be-
engineering, right? But
Right.
it's not wetland, so maybe won't need
Not the
DEM.
trail, no. The trail's not wetlands. The rest of it has a fair amount of wetlands.
But in other words, the work that we want
No,
done.
yeah, no. There would be no permitting there, but that slope is a problem.
I don't think we need it. I'm not gonna do it either, but it seems to me we just need a bunch of guys to go out there. Like fill in the ruts, maybe put in some kind of ties, like wooden ties.
Retaining ties.
I'm
yeah.
still working on the
Yeah.
RISD Connect too, as far as getting like architecture people from RISD to do it as a project, so that's still a possibility.
Because that's a trail modification, would that be an ADA thing though? Because if we put in trail tie things, that would create steps, well then,
I mean, it's not.
It's not a
ADA
new
compliant
trail.
now,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
So,
I,
I don't know if it's considered new construction or you're just halting erosion, further erosion.
yeah.
bottom line, we don't have $600,
Right.
have $400.
So
thought
should we
600
just-
was-
600 was already accounted
Yeah,
for.
didn't you
You
account for
put it
that?
in there
Yeah.
as you held it there.
Yeah.
But then
Yes,
either
You took
that-
care of
yeah.
yourself.
Or do we regroup and just have it as a cleanup kind of thing, or a trail marking, or putting up signs or something else, some of the other things that we have difficulty getting to?
Or what if we
I-
put both?
well,
Clean up with the chance pending permitting
Right,
to build and construct a bridge.
I don't know, to me, if I'm gonna apply for this, I'd rather, like she said, we might not be eligible if we apply for this for one little thing. I'd rather kind of wait and have a project that we
Fine.
really want them to do that we can't do ourselves.
Right, and the Situate people were saying that they got a bunch of like pro bono work for like the engineering and a lot of those things, so it's
Okay.
felt that we could potentially be moving forward, we're gonna need permitting money, but,
Which
Yeah.
we have, the permit is only 125.
yeah,
That's equal.
I can reach out to them and find out if the timeline would be like impossible for this, but I got the impression that it would be if we were gonna do the
Okay.
vote and work.
And I can definitely, you said June 1st, right? Is that what
Yeah,
you-
June
I
1st.
can, well, I don't wanna say definitely. I can continue like nudging the RISD people to get a sense before June, like, of whether that's a realistic thing. Cause they do, like RISD also has summer sessions and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
that's something I can, I'll keep looking into that. Would you be able maybe to reach out to the, like, to whoever is monitoring these grants and ask about our eligibility if we were to apply a second year?
Okay. I know the person too.
Right, I feel like that's an important question to ask. If we're deciding this.
Okay, and the other thing. For doing this. It's kind of, so. I feel like this needs to be like a project that's like either erosion control or, so. At this point, we can be eligible for a second year, would you like me to go for the erosion control? Or, you know, and do volunteers have a work days choice? Because you're working, you have a full-time job, right?
For now.
It could be Mondays.
You can always take a day off.
I'm relatively flexible.
I think, well,
Things
so
around.
if it's okay with you, I think maybe you can ask that question. I can dig a little deeper, nudge a little harder for the RISD thing.
Mm-hmm,
And then maybe we talk about it in April and we can decide there which of the projects if we
Okay.
apply, which we would wanna do
And I'll
based on
find
how
out
that
about from
goes.
Situate whether this is a realistic timeline for the vote and
Okay.
everything, so we'll have a lot
Okay.
of information by the next
Yeah.
meeting.
all right.
Okay.
I'm just looking at our agenda and time.
Skip or at least
So-
for me, there's a lot in the document from me about the hunting on
Yep.
Coventry land. Skip that. We can talk about that at another time.
Yeah, and research updates is gonna fold itself in with the frog and bat research, because we already talked a little bit about fungi.
What's that?
I don't know where bats came from here.
I love that.
Let's skip fundraising and membership just because there isn't much there to begin with.
Yep.
We'll take care of that next time. So as to the strategic plan, still in progress, we need to determine a meeting date that would be a workshop date. Where we get at least a quorum of us to go get together and go over what we have and make sure it's good before we publish it.
Publish it, oh, but the
Yeah.
strategic plan.
Yeah. Preferably a weekday evening,
Weekday evening.
yeah. We just do we usually do a Tuesday for that kind of stuff, because. Works.
Yeah, that's, Wednesdays are tough for me.
Yeah. And Monday, Thursdays I teach. Is there a certain Tuesday we want to do? Other than the 15th is our next meeting, so
So do you want to do it before the meeting?
we can, yeah.
April the 2nd or 9th?
I'm gonna be gone both of those weeks, I'm sorry, it's not that you can't do it without me, but
Where are you going now?
it's the same place.
Same
Still
place. Oh, you're still in Indonesia, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
2 weeks.
Wow, good for you.
So we're talking April? Probably.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
a Tuesday?
Mhm.
First or April 8th.
Yeah. Would that work for you?
Yeah.
I cannot do.
You can't do it first.
Probably not good to do on
Did
April
we-
Fool's Day anyway, but.
Is there any,
I would,
what about going after the next meeting? Because
yeah,
we don't
Okay.
really have to have a strategic plan before then. And it's, it's not like a grant opportunity,
Okay.
that time is of the essence.
Yeah.
The
About-
second,
On Earth Day,
Yeah. That could work. I just might have a conference that week. I don't know if my presence is requested.
How about the 29th?
Let's do that, please.
What's that?
Let's do that, please.
okay, 29th it is.
29th?
I found out like 2 days
6:30?
ago, I might have to go to a conference. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, our usual time.
Do it here?
We can borrow the conference room, right?
I believe this is the only group that meets here on Tuesdays.
Perfect.
And so what time is it?
6:30. on the
6:30.
29th.
I don't know where the current version is. I think you have it, or would we,
I'll try and find it.
I could dig through my
It
emails,
wasn't even
I'm sure.
necessarily.
But I'm thinking just to send it around for a refresher and for those who are new.
Mhm.
Okay. Awesome. All right, on to old business. Grassett property, any updates? I'm wondering if we should take this one off our list.
Table it for now.
Okay. Yeah, let's take Grassett off the list then for going forward for agendas, because we're kind of stuck with them.
Yep,
Mende, did the Mendes get any movement with the solicitor?
I have not heard anything. I can check with the town manager.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah.
'Cause it's enough already with them. They've been waiting too long for this. I know the solicitor was in a bit of hot water with the town council last week. So I don't know if that got in the way.
Town manager. Oh,
They did.
They did.
Yeah. Pettegrew property, so that's the one we weren't sure if we have a farm, is a farm.
No, wasn't that Potter?
Oh.
yeah.
Farm,
Well,
okay,
that's Actually, I agree with.
yeah,
yeah,
that's
but it's
true.
development rights.
Okay, I think we're still stuck with the appraisals on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah,
Does it have to be an appraiser in Rhode Island? Cause they are technically on the Connecticut border. They are on the Connecticut border.
right,
but
he is, yeah, that's his boundary line is Connecticut.
Could we get someone from out of state?
Sure, but still the question is going to be, how are we going to pay for it?
Can we ask the council? I don't know if we need to like go to a meeting to ask this or somehow get it on their agenda that we need money for appraisals if they're gonna require this of us. You know, like.
isn't
getting-
an appraisal
see why
part of the
not.
purchase process, so why wouldn't we be able to use
So,
acquisition
that's the
funds for
problem.
that? Yeah.
It's this weird
That's the
rule
problem,
that
right.
it can be used if you do end up purchasing the
Purchasing.
property.
But we don't know we're gonna do
But
that.
you don't know if if the end result is going to be to purchase the property until you have an appraisal. So if you use the money to get an appraisal and you don't end up purchasing the property, that's against the law.
so yeah, can we ask them about that?
Yes.
You just seen it's
Right.
clear as mud. I
Yeah.
don't know how you're not getting it.
Yeah.
I think that works.
Sounds like a problem.
Welcome to Rhode Island.
Okay,
Could there be like, if we get as far as having looked at the property, voted on the property after doing the
We tried that.
our
Yeah, we
assessment.
We tried that
and
with the
then
rating,
said-
said we want this
if-
property,
Yeah,
yeah.
and said, as long as it comes in,
Right.
the appraisal comes in at less than X amount of dollars.
We've tried that.
Yeah, we've tried everything
Nothing.
and
Yeah,
it's just,
nothing.
we've, which is why I'm like, all right, can we have funds for appraisal then? Because
Yeah.
those $2 million is from, land conveyance tax,
Yeah,
whenever
yeah.
real estate is sold here. That is only for that purpose. So it's sitting there doing nothing. When we should be using it. Okay. Right, Potter Farm now, actual Potter Farm. I know we weren't sure about the whole were we eligible thing or not, and I was thinking of reaching out to NRCS, but then given what's been going on with the feds and that office, I don't know if they're even still there.
Right.
So I actually spoke with a woman whose name escapes me right now.
Michelle Sheehan.
Yes. And
Didn't you know that?
she is moving along. We, as a town, Coventry does not have to be involved.
Oh,
I told her we would still be interested in being involved somehow. We don't have to be,
okay,
but
all right, well,
you know, we are certainly supportive of their intentions. And, you know, if that helps in any way, I told her, you know,
okay.
let us know.
Well, that's good then.
Mm.
That was something we put in the strategic plan. The draft is, if we can't conserve land, we can connect them with someone who can.
Mhm.
And that's great. Thank you. Should we take that off the agenda then? Since it seems like they're good without us so far.
Yeah, I think we should.
Alright. Okay, ongoing property management, drones.
When we need Craig, he's willing to do any
Okay.
more drone footage for us.
Is that something we can take off the agenda from now on? The drones, because we
Yeah.
don't have any.
We don't have a need right now, we can table it too, or just bring it up when we need to again.
Okay. Boundary markers, kiosks and signs are all kind of the same deal. We
Mhm.
definitely need boundary markers. Everywhere. Because George and I were actually out in Sullivan just before this and they're standing on the edge going, is this Sullivan or is this someone else's property? So,
When you hear the click of the shotgun, you know. you're in
well, it
trouble.
was a team stand, that's why I was asking that question.
It's
Like, do I
usually
make
how
a
you
move
figure it
or
out.
not?
Yeah. So, do you need like Lynn to go, our GPS person to?
And we have the boundary markers.
We do have them,
just
right.
need to get out.
Put the signs up, yeah.
Nail guns or hammers and nails and find the
Put 'em-
boundaries and put 'em
put 'em
up.
up.
Can we schedule a time? Doesn't need to be all of us because this can be like a two-person deal. You know,
Okay.
sort of as people are able to, maybe schedule a few times and we see who can go for what.
The other thing about these, we don't know precisely where the boundaries are, so we have to make sure that we're actually inside, see on the maps.
And yeah, we'll definitely need them. We need them everywhere because we have, you know, the dirt bike issues and the ATV issues, and it doesn't say with Bowden, like you're on Bowden versus private land. With Groat, we have the hunting thing and same deal. It doesn't say you're on private land versus our land, so.
We're using tree screws, right, not nails?
Trees, crews.
I honestly don't know how. they
Okay.
put them in. I have the actual signs, but
I would think
Glenn,
trees.
those guys put them up.
Yeah,
before.
I think we
Yeah,
use the tree screws, because we have
yeah.
we have a ton of that hardware.
Mhm.
So it kind of pushes out with, yeah, goes with the tree,
Well,
yeah,
those are for the actual, those are for the signs,
yep.
wooden signs that Larry made.
Can't use them for the little plastic squares.
We were supposed to
that
use
you're
them for those as
entering.
well,
Certainly
yeah.
have
With
plenty
there's
of
tons of
hardware.
them, yeah.
Clear out your
Yeah,
office.
we can
Yeah.
get the tree
Mm.
screws.
You wanna set a
So
couple of
scheduling a
days?
day to get out to each of the properties. Hammer and then screw it in.
Yeah.
I can go, I'm just looking at my calendar. I can go out and maybe drag some friends or other people out on the 5th. Yeah,
Also, if it works for people and you want to do like a weekday afternoon or morning, I mean, you can.
yeah, that's also if it's needed at that point. If you guys can get out before then, that's great. I just can't necessarily plan exact times I'll be able to get out in the next couple weeks.
Well. How about, let's pick a date, and would it be possible for us to, since it's just a scheduling thing, schedule for email, Josh?
You
Yes.
can schedule a meeting over email.
Okay. So how about we pick a date and then we all start like throwing out times, and maybe we find a couple of us can go out.
It's gonna start with the April 5th.
Sure.
Okay. I can't be there, but that's all right, because I probably wouldn't be going anyway. So,
Is Sullivan a priority? We can all, probably only do one property at a time.
Right,
Bowden's huge, so
We could start there
start
if you want,
at
yeah.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
Start at all Bowden.
Actually, you know what, let's do Bonan. Because we have so many problems there. Is the, it's not clear.
and we're gonna be there for Earth Day,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
fifth, I
I do
could
that.
so it makes sense to do it then.
Yeah,
do like 11.
So what is actually happening on this
Alright.
outing?
We're just putting up banner markers.
Yeah,
Diamond shaped signs that say Coventry Land Trust.
entering, yep,
Just at the entry?
No.
Exit.
Put them up
Yeah.
all along the boundaries
Of the property.
the
I have a
property
question, that's good.
boundaries, so that when
but I'm gonna
people
forget.
go
Okay.
off the trails, they still know that they're either on or leaving on the trust property.
it's, we have ones that say exiting or leaving, are orange, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's
So the
yellow.
yellows that says you're entering, and then as you're walking through, as you come to the end of it, it says, now you'd be exiting, so you know either to stop walking and go back, or
Yeah.
you're gonna be on private property.
Or hopefully turn your dirt back around.
Oh,
All the way
turn your
around.
foot back over,
Across.
yeah,
Put them
Snow has become a
30,
lot, yeah.
40 feet apart, all along.
it's just a matter of time.
Mhm.
Actually, I
That's a
lied.
huge job.
ATV or.
I lied.
hold
The
on,
11th,
Madison Road,
the
picture
weekend of
that
the
lost his
12th
life.
or 11th or 12th would
Uh,
be
Last
better
year.
for me.
It was last year, or the
11th.
year before, but yeah, because there's a monument,
again,
markers there too,
this
but
is
they
just-
just don't get it. It's not safe riding in the woods like that,
Mhm.
no matter how experienced you
Alright,
are.
then we'll say the 12th, and
The 12th, we're saying?
yeah, it
Okay.
does like noon work for people. This noon on the 12th as a starting point.
Sure. And look, if all of us can't get there, that's fine, you know, it's
That's a Sunday, right?
Saturday.
Saturday, we're just,
April 12th?
Yeah.
I don't know if April 12th is, okay, there it is. Oh, it's Passover.
at sunset though.
I got this on Sunday, because something's not right.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, I'll start, cause Easter's the next weekend.
Yep.
and Passover was Seder and. Or Easter, something was a Seder, just Passover. I didn't go to CCD.
Well, and we're saying noontime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking about prescribed burns? We kind of did that.
Anything else on signs before
We
we?
got kiosks, those are done.
Yep,
They're
those are
new and
done.
Yep,
they're done. Signs, again, we have more yellow trail signs to put up at Whipple, so. To mark this, the backside of that trail and to put 2 signs at Sandy bought and posts with Sandy bought and entrance and at the main entrance. Directing people to the yellow trail. We need to get ours.
Yep.
Help us put the posts in the ground. Or. Start to use some stuff that Larry gave us. So those are, that's my issue, but that's not immediate.
so hopefully next time we'll have Parks and Rec here at the meeting.
Yes, Parks and Rec, the director just couldn't make today.
Right.
But he will be a non-voting member going forward.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Excellent.
Okay. All right.
That's it for me.
So should we take kiosks off the agenda then as well? Cause we're kind of done with those for now.
Yeah.
Alright. General trail system, we kind of already talked about that. I did want to know real quick, I have been in touch with the environmental police regarding the baiting at Road. They're keeping an eye on it. If anyone sees anything out there, even though it's usually just me. Particularly if you see a camera, try not to get in front of the camera. Call the environmental police, report it, they'll do their thing. They did check out the area, they didn't find anything else. But they were not happy to hear that hunting is not allowed in that area because when deer, bag deer are reported, they do report where they came from. Or they're supposed to, I believe. And then we found a deer stand in Sullivan today, not supposed to be there, missing identification tags, major violation, so I'll be reporting that. So, but yeah. I have the coordinates. Yeah. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, it's on town land.
I don't know.
And then if you call the environment, please just let Josh and I know, because I have the contact with them. Prescribed burns, I still need to talk to Sundance about getting a quote. I'm hoping to do that soon, especially because things are setting on fire right now. With how dry it's been, so. This is around the time 2 years ago I proposed this.
Right when
Anyways.
Exeter was burning.
Yeah, I was about to propose it and then next to McDonald's it burned and I went, oh, good timing.
Yeah.
GIS mapping.
I put together 3 maps for the Cotter property that we talked about already, and also for the QUORUM property, that's item 7.8. With the pre-text to, assuming that we were going to score that sometime. So that's what I've done with GIS. So we're ready to look at those down the line for scoring. They're in the GIS now. All the layers.
Awesome.
Game camera?
Your favorite.
Yeah, I have a wildlife camera up at Stella Hall for a week, 2 weeks ago. And the beaver dam, hoping that the beaver would show up. And I got back there, someone had taken the camera and turned it around 180 degrees and put duct tape over the lens. The camera got their hand and their sleeve. I didn't get a picture of her. So
Does it say it's the Coventry Land Trust
it
camera?
does not.
Because maybe they thought it was a hunter's camera and thought they were doing a good thing.
Then brought that up, and it's definitely a possibility, which is why I asked Larry to make these. I'm gonna
Oh, good.
need a bigger pole, but I'm gonna put the lock cable through it like this.
Yep.
Okay, so that they can't steal this.
It's great.
You want to see my bobcat on trail camera?
Did you post it online?
No, I don't, because I don't want anyone coming and looking for it,
No,
you know?
someone had just.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I have a picture of the one in my backyard, but it was blurry.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that's
so
where just,
surprised they walked by like the coyote was walking by like, oh, look at me.
well, somebody
Yeah,
posted
cutie.
the bobcat, I assume it's the
Mm.
same one
Isn't that
that they
nice?
saw in a
Yes.
neighborhood in
Yeah.
Naughty Oak the
Yeah.
other day, yeah.
Did we skip the research things?
7.6. Not there yet.
I see, sorry.
No, it's.
Oh, because
late.
it was 4, yes, got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Camera, I moved it
6
to a
minutes.
spot, so I'll get out there.
Alright, hopefully, I hope that sign helps, and I hope it doesn't attract
So, yeah,
stupid behavior.
you know, it's a catch-22.
Yeah,
Do you have to put the sign, well, I guess you have to put relatively close to the camera, or can you put it, you know,
or could we put the sign somewhere nearby?
That's what
And
I'm
then on the
thinking.
camera itself, just write property of town of Coventry.
Yeah.
To, if someone really gets an idea, to spook them if they get close to it.
or we get a second camera and a face that the seriously. Strategic spot too, yeah. Yeah.
Wet, so unless I have,
I have a dry suit.
I know, unless you have meters, you can't wade in to put it in a place that's not accessible.
I have a dry suit.
Right. And the camera can only be, it's only supposed to be like a couple of feet off the ground, so you can't put it up and it doesn't focus down.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like- Find if you need them, and of course, we put the signs up at Whipple and they tore them down.
Josh, could you also see about paying Chief Hyacinth another time before we send that letter to the town council?
Yeah, so, yeah, so the letter I wrote,
Yeah,
so. That in here, that's in here somewhere, I have it, and then you're right. So that. I know I brought it today. There's so many people. So. We can go ahead and send it as is, I think. If you want to go ahead and do it, we were postponing doing that because we were in the process of getting ourselves established. We didn't want to muddy the water.
Yeah.
So, but,
yeah, but it's clear they're not
Well,
interested.
what I'm wondering if, not to prey upon other events, but there have been events in the news about people being injured, ATVing, off-road and so forth, and maybe including that in the letter saying, let's avoid a situation like so-and-so just, this community just had losing some base, and then
Yeah,
like giving them reason to go and fill it in.
okay, so here's the letter. See what you want to add and just jot it in for me and
Okay.
I can make it. And then should I send it to you to send to the town council?
Yes,
Oh, yes, okay.
someone's getting killed or has a serious
Yeah.
injury. Twice in 1 weekend up in there for us all. Not good things from ATVs and dirt bikes. So I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
Let me find that, I can't remember, I read it in passing where kids on ATVs or dirt bikes or something died, just because they were inexperienced riders and they were running through the woods on it. It happens all the time. We were just saying on Matson Road in Situate, a young man lost his life, I think, 2 years ago, riding an ATV.
Yes,
So
so, yeah, so
let me
just
find that citation.
send it to me.
Yeah,
Can she send it directly to me without going through you? And then I'll send you the letter.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Yep. Nope. Yep. Yeah.
Couldn't tell where they were coming from, it scared me.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we've had problems in our neighborhood. In fact, the craziest thing is our neighborhood has lots of windy roads and I turned, and as I turned the corner, there's like a 4-year-old and one of those little motorized cars zooming around in the middle of the street with no adult visible.
No helmet.
And I almost hit him because, I
He's gonna
mean,
get
you
squished.
turn the corner and there's this little tight, you know, he's short. I can't see him.
If you're not paying attention.
Mhm. Okay, so you'll send that to me.
I'll send you the site where that the accident
Okay.
occurred, just so we can reference it, you know, to let's
Okay.
avoid a
Yes.
situation with this community
And then
experience.
Fund.
yes, and then I'll send the letter to Josh.
Yep.
If there's
And-
something, if there is an article or something about the thing on the green.
In areas where ATVs are legal to use, so,
Mm.
what the hell is it? I think it's, I don't remember what the state park's name is, but I've worked in it in, Milan, New Hampshire, where they're legal. They get calls left and right
Oh, I
for
can imagine.
ambulances.
Yeah.
I was approached once because I was in a marked truck asking for help for someone who broke their leg down a trail.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, that'll be good to see. All right,
Okay. And are we gonna do anything with that? or-
ready to talk logo?
Who put all these together?
Alright.
Good.
We don't have to decide tonight, after the last iteration. And I showed you, the one on the bottom left of this page was the one that you guys liked the best of what I presented before.
Mhm.
And I fixed the water coming off the tail of the duck. Which shall be named. But I still am not happy with it.
I
So I
think,
tried some different trees and then I said, let me go back to the circle option for a circle. So that's what you see, the top four are variations on a circle. And the brown and the blue on the bottom are to represent land and water, and the light blue to represent the sky, and it's on the top left, so that's why it's on the top. And I just said, okay, well, it looks like on the bottom, and then let me see what it looks like with a solid color.
You have too much time in your hands. These are fantastic. Any one of them are great.
Is there a way to put a tree like behind the duck
I
somewhere
tried
on
that,
those? Yeah.
and it looked really funny because it looked like the tree was coming out of the duck,
Mm.
so.
It's a new species.
I can
Yep.
definitely play with
A
it.
wood duck.
I think maybe playing with that some more, I think just from my own knowledge of like logo
Punchy card.
and use of logo.
Yes.
I don't think the ones on the bottom are gonna be effective. I think that it would be nice if they were always shown as a logo, meaning like a full large size graphic. But I don't think that that'll translate as like an actual logo. This is more like a graphic for a t-shirt or a flyer, I think, and less like a logo. I really like my personal favorite is the middle of the top. I like the proportions. I think it is a very effective logo and icon. I think maybe playing with like a tree, or even if it's a small, like even playing with something where it's like there's trees that are only like here I can, like that are only filling up like this little area. I think that could be cool. And I also was thinking maybe angling the like curve thing so that it is like a little bit like echoing the angle of the duck, like turning it a little, yeah. And then just making the Coventry Land Trust text a little bit bigger. I think thinking social media flyers, things like that.
If
would
there's
be a
some
most
way to get
effective
like
logo.
some greenery in there, only because we're not the Audubon Society, right? Like we're not a bird organization. Yeah. So, yeah.
So if
We
you,
don't know the history of the duck,
No.
so we don't know why we have a duck.
Oh,
But it is a duck.
yeah.
We have to.
It's not an elephant, right? It's not that
Right.
high school.
We're about to send it to the elementary school, so it's
Yep.
sticking for around for a bit.
The color in the duck.
I think part of the problem is the duck is so well defined
Yep.
compared to, the trees and such, which are, it'd be great, like, without the duck, the trees. But then when you combine the two, it just looks odd.
well,
Yeah.
if we go with one of these circles, we go with this one in the middle and swing it up so that there's, the arc is more up this way, and we might have room to put a little tree right there. That one.
what I was trying before is like arcing it and then having like trees that are kind of like
Okay.
backgrounded in this general area, cause that also balances
The
the
logo.
design with like the text in the top left and then trees
Okay.
in the top right.
Yep.
I think in general, because like you said, the duck is so well defined, I think the trees need to be, I think somewhere in between in my head, the definition of the middle and right side on the bottom. I think the definition of the furthest right trees would maybe make it too visually complicated. But I think like Jenna was saying, that like that there needs to be like a very similar level of definition between the duck and the tree, but because the trees would theoretically be like in the background, like obviously that's not the size of a tree that's at the same plane as the duck, I think they can be less defined or even like slightly stylized because they are not in the foreground. Those are
Feedback, everybody. I will take some top middle and work with some greenery there, some trees. Give you some more options of the next.
Does it have to be a tree? Could it be like an overhang of a branch with just some leaves?
Or
Like
falling
a
leaves. Yeah,
Yeah.
that might
branch,
work.
shrubs,
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just a couple of leaves would be better, probably.
Hard part, pine.
Mhm.
Or what if,
It could be like autumn leaves too, so that the like you're able to have like the brown colors and things.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea.
if we swing one of these bottom pieces up and then like branch comes out of this,
Yeah,
Yeah,
make that brown, or keep the brown one. So it's like growing out of the logo is the tree.
yep.
Okay.
Right, the Jobs Dollar grant passed, so that's a small grant. The Rhode Island Legislature Survey puts it out every year. It's designed for small entities and people like us. It's like $1,500, I think.
It's up to 3,000, but they usually give, I think it's 3,000, but individual grants might
Okay,
be like 1,500.
okay.
Yeah, there's, I think the total is 3, but I could be wrong.
Okay. It's good small.
Yeah.
But yeah, the application period opened up and closed between our previous meeting and our last meeting. That's just something to keep our eye out on for next year, because it comes every year. All right, we already talked about the Youth Conservation Corps. So this emergency events, this is just basically seeking the authority of from everyone, of the vice chair and chair being able to okay events from partners that we have an established relationship with, and it's an event we know about without needing to go through a meeting like this. Because what happened is the Rhode Island Mycology Society reached out to me like a couple days ahead of an event they were gonna schedule. They wanted to hold it at Stella Hall, and we've worked with them, 10,000 times. They did the thing at the library. The problem is we didn't have a meeting between when they reached out and when their thing was gonna be, so I had to say no. So that's what this is just seeking like everyone to vote on. I and Lynn, but just chair and vice chair going forward, could say yes to stuff like that.
Makes perfect sense.
Totally fine.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. We've okayed a motion for vice chair and chair to have an emergency okay of events on land trust property with known partners and known event topics. Awesome. So Frog and Bat Research, also this is yours.
Yeah, this is super fast. I don't really think there's any reason to talk about it. They just want the ability to go off trail in our property, specifically stump ponds, to just record sounds. They're not interfering with anything. They just want to record frog choruses for research that they're doing. Yeah, I see all that they've requested is we expect to work during evening hours throughout May through June. they just need to transport equipment, so they want permission to park at trailheads or to access roads internal to the property. There's like 3 to 5 of them.
That's great.
I don't see any reason why that.
What's the bat research?
She is just. This professor, like her whole life is frogs and bats, so I think the idea is like if she were to identify. The. Like ability to use the land that she's already on to do frog stuff, for any of the bat research that she's doing, she could. But the main thing is stump pond frog courses.
So that Stump Pond's not.
You mean Stella Hall?
Probably, I mean.
That's a property that projects into Stump Pond?
Then probably, yes, yeah, I mean, she
Okay.
just says, we request permission to access Coventry Land Trust property, in particular Stump Pond, and I sent her the. Website of like all with the description of all the places.
Makes
and-
perfect sense.
Yeah, I think.
And she'll share her findings, because it'd be lovely to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's long-term, this
Yep.
is a long-term and very broad project that she's doing about whether the effects of. Pollution and environmental changes that frogs are very sensitive to, is reflected in courses and sounds. It's a very interesting project,
Maybe
but,
she could give us a couple audio files to put on the website.
oh, I'm sure.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would,
And
and
I was trying to get some today, but it didn't work out.
I'm sure she would, they do a lot of really cool stuff, yeah, so. I guess motion for me to. Tell her okay and approve her research on this land.
I so lose, Linda.
There's someone's
I'll second this again.
all in favor.
Aye.
Alright, I'll write a permit.
Cool, and then. Yeah, if you just wanna, hopefully this is allowed, Josh, but if you just wanna send that to me, I can just send it to her and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's pretty quick and easy. I just request, whenever they're going through, if they're gonna go through the shrub swamp or the cedar swamp, uber careful, please. Go
Okay,
through that, because there's sphagnum and those are sensitive habitat.
Yeah,
Make
sure.
I know.
will you put something?
Yeah.
Like that in whatever you write, okay, cool.
Do the parking lots have a rule that people can only park there dusk to dawn to dusk?
No,
I haven't seen that,
Okay.
no.
I just wonder if if a cop drives by and says, what's that car
Yeah.
doing there at 11 o'clock at night?
Maybe they could put something in their.
yeah,
report
I would do
saying,
that.
Doing
Doing
Something on the
frog
dashboard.
research.
Yeah, or-
Check the land trust, yeah.
If
All
along with the
yours.
permit, you just wanna
Yeah.
provide something that's like. Approved Coventry Land Trust.
Yeah.
That could be
Can
useful.
we
Yeah,
send a copy of the
put a
permit to the
couple in
police?
After the police.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah, just
Letting them know.
Yeah.
yeah,
They'll be there.
just let them know.
If
Let
you
them know
hear
that they're
weird
gonna be there if
things.
you think-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cause they know always that.
Yeah.
Most likely, they think it's kids.
Yeah, or neighbors will call, yep.
It'd be awesome to see that research happen.
I know.
I'm very curious to hear what kind of properties they get. All right, land trust merch. So this is really because George needs a t-shirt. All right.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
And I want to put on there before I forgot to talk about it.
okay,
And our 3 new members also need it.
t-shirts, okay. They're homemade, so don't get excited.
Excited.
I make them in the kitchen, that's
That
why
makes
they're
me
homemade.
way more excited. I love homemade, handmade stuff. That's my favorite.
Oh, come on now, yeah, probably, yeah.
People, please take magnets to distribute.
Do you just write Coventry Land Trust for the Sharpie?
No, I scanned the little plastic thing and then made a transfer and then iron it on, so it's really high tech, very, very
I'm
high
very
tech.
excited.
Someone be able to take these to the library and see if they can be.
Okay. Well,
I can
when
do
I-
it, but not.
But I am interested in having
leaving
something.
for the weekend,
because
but I can
for
do it when I get
research
home.
Oh,
next
exactly.
year,
Okay.
I wanna fly the colors
Yep.
so that.
I buy t-shirts in a batch, so everything is extra large, I think. I think yours was
That's
an
great.
extra large.
Yes,
So,
Hikers.
oh,
let
yeah.
her write it
Oh,
for me,
Just
and wear it over.
Show it stack for
Yeah.
hiker friend. Cool.
I
Alright,
got one more here.
the
actually-
properties.
Speaking of merch, we should probably talk about your display. And poster.
You want-
Yeah, real quick,
Okay. Okay, just,
because the research will take place now.
right, it's starting, yeah, it's starting. I got the official permission today, again. So last year, for those of you who don't know, I did, fly collecting, differ collecting at Whipple and Stella Hall. Went well. To do that work, you have to have a permit from the state and permission from the property owner, so. I got permission, I have my permit, I will send a copy of the new permit to you, so you have that.
Okay.
On
Okay.
file. And, what I'm doing this year, and I'll send this little sheet around first. Basically, last year I was kind of working in a vacuum, because naturalists, as a general rule, find the public to be, frightening. And, so, this year, however, working with the Land Trust Council, working with the Land Trust, feeling that we really need to promote who we are and what we're doing. So the little table, that's going around, that's been purchased. When I'm on a property, at the trailhead, I'm gonna set up the little table, and I'll send out. And there'll be these type stand-up posters, stating who I am, stating what I'm doing, encouraging people to talk to me about what I'm doing. Which is why having a Coventry Land Trust. And I do this at a number of different land trusts, so I have different hats, so the picture will be updated to have a Coventry t-shirt on.
Yeah.
The idea is to, land trusts are a lot more than trail systems, and I think that that's something.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a lot of research, like the bats and frogs research, and I think we really need to promote that. At Stella Hall, you might only see 1 or 2 people, but if this is at the trailhead at Whipple.
Oh, you're gonna see tons.
You're
Yeah.
gonna see a lot of people. And some ask and some go, oh my gosh, it's interesting to watch people make a big detour around the guy with the butterfly net.
He's gonna ask for something, yeah. Butterfly net.
So the whole point is we really want to promote land trust every single possible chance we can. And there'll be, this work is also sponsored by the Natural History Survey, so there are a number of different organizations involved in it. But we want to get that message out there, that there's more to being a land trust than just a dog walking trail.
Excellent, that's awesome.
So, and the other thing I want to say about the little poster, this is Stella Hall, this is sort of, in a certain sense, this is a placeholder. If you're doing an event, or if you have something else, I can be sent a digital copy, I'll print it out, and I'll use those. So anything event-wise, I'm gonna make one of these for each of the 4 main properties where I'll be working this summer. I have aspirationally 14 collecting trips during the course of the summer in Coventry. You're a little bit behind Westerly, but you're second place.
Wow, that's cool.
Partly because I live nearby, but also because you got some wonderful properties and a really cool leader. But are you a president?
Sure.
You're a
Chair.
president, okay, chair, okay, yeah, really,
Chair.
chair, so, yeah.
Oh, and
Check it
I
out,
asked him to send us the, how to make that hoverfly.
Oh, the hoverfly, I keep forgetting to do that. I'm home tomorrow. If I fail tomorrow, come get me.
Cause he, during his presentation,
Yeah, the
he
hoverfly.
had a hoverfly thing,
Trap, or not trap.
traps,
Yeah.
right, or, a
Cool.
little habitat. And so I said, wouldn't that be cool to have directions on how to make that on our website, like a link, a little thing for kids to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And why?
And why.
And why?
Yeah.
The hoverflies, flowerflies, surfidae are pollinating species, and some of
Oh,
them.
I was there listening to you.
Okay,
I
that's-
know.
Yeah, we were all
Yeah.
there. We were all there.
Yeah, the library has your water bottle, by the way.
Which one?
Purple one.
Red.
Oh, it's so funny. to know that. Okay.
Yes, we need instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. That was a fabulous talk.
It was great.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you very
great.
much. I appreciate that.
I would write your name on that table though, lest it walk away.
If it
Fly
walked
away.
away, I'm prepared to buy another one, and it's only in good weather.
Mm.
And I'm getting my wife to make paperweights to hold down like little things that are sitting there, but
We
like.
could get Velcro on.
You could get a rock too, but.
Yeah, but she's in a pottery class and we have all the bowls we can possibly use.
Oh, I
so-
understand. Yes.
And she knows it, but it's like, oh, that's really, yeah, so,
Thank you.
oh, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Alright, any issues of interest for the next agenda that we didn't talk about?
I think that's the line.
I don't think we have anything new to add, actually.
We need to move the property to next, to the April 15th meeting then.
Oh, yes, yeah, those, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Alright, so those will be our new business for that, unless something comes up and we add it in between now and then. We have no people for public comments. Unless you had more comments.
My only comment is we're doing a bio blitz at Steer Hill, Gloucester Land Trust property in early first weekend in June. And if you're interested in getting together a whole bunch of naturalists and looking for every living thing you can find. It's through the Natural History Survey, it's on the website.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah, it's posted, it's on the website,
very
they send out newsletters and it gets heavily promoted.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah, no, and I wanna talk to
That's
you,
my
I'd
favorite
like to
one,
get
for the
your,
field
do you
trip.
have a website? Cause after this is done, for just a minute or two, I'd like to find it. I know a woman that might be interested. But yes, I'm
I love that one.
be more than happy to work if you want.
What can we look up to?
And this huge friendship.
Retirement, that sounds like such a dream.
What can we like look up to get information about?
You're thinking about it already. aren't you?
Rhode Island Natural History Survey.org. And the best way to get information is there's a page where you can sign up for the newsletter and all announcements will come through the newsletter. They also have a Facebook page and Instagram. Yeah, we have. But signing up for the newsletter is free and that's probably the best way to, because that'll have announcements with all kinds of the Natural History Survey programs and events.
It's related things.
But
Fungi and flies or something.
yeah. Our annual meeting, March 30th,
Tea,
last Wednesday,
Yeah,
please. Yeah,
last
so go
Wednesday.
down and,
alright,
which is kind of interesting. It's a bunch of old parts that want to talk about natural stuff.
look, I just ended
You?
my Tea magazine subscription like a month ago. Alright, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
I make a motion to adjourn.
No, we've got second win.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, 9:24.
Yes.
So we didn't-
You want to talk